Whoa! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Yeah, welcome. We're continuing the Tsukihime sealed. Let's see what happens next. If any audio needs adjusting, let me know, but nothing's changed since the last stream, so if last was fine. This should be okay. The only thing is I need to hydrate. I got a little bit of a sniffer. One sec. Okay, there we go. I cleared it. Okay, let's go. Continue. Wait, no, I forgot to get the there's the route choices. There we go. Okay, now I know what to do. Okay, how do we do the voice again? Takes a while to get back into it, you know. It seems like I'll just barely make it in time for homeroom. Clinging to the faint hope that maybe Ciel Senpai had dropped by our classroom this morning as well, I run up the stairs 2 steps at a time. Oh! And lo, ask and ye shall receive. I can hardly believe my own luck. The person ahead of me on the staircase is Ciel Senpai, no doubt about it. My excitement at this miraculous timing must have robbed me of all reason. She's wide open. I daringly slip my hands under each of her arms in an attempt to lift her off the floor and into my arms. Oh! She must have eyes in the back of her head or something, because she nimbly evades my mad dash for her back. Meanwhile, my momentum sends me crashing headfirst into the wall, unable to lay so much as a finger on her. Yeah.
人が変わったような朝の挨拶でしたが、何か深い意味があったりするんでしょうか?
No, I'm just excited, I think.
いえ、別に。朝から先輩の顔を見られた喜びでどうかしていただけです。
I answer her with impeccable composure as I straighten out my glasses. Actually, now that I've calmed down a bit, even I'm having a hard time believing I really did that. It looks like my bold approach might have paid off, though. Senpai is almost acting as if she's the one at fault here. Hold on. She actually doesn't look apologetic at all. In fact, she seems absolutely livid.
すみません。一方的に俺が悪かったです。先輩を見たらついいたずらしたくなったというか。
いえいえ、朝から元気なことは結構です。このぐらいの狼藉、普段の行いに比べれば大したことはありませんし。おはようございます、遠野くん。無茶ばかりして、体と頭は大丈夫ですか?
I think he's alright, maybe. He was a bit messed up this morning. Senpai offers me a sumptuous smile to go with her sumptuous greeting. I wish her a pleasant morning as well. I feel like there's an unusual pressure behind her smile, but I don't really pay it any mind. Any smile of hers is wonderful.
もうすぐホームルームなので失礼しますね。あ、そうだ。お昼休み、茶道室に来てください。ぜひお話ししたいことがあるので。
Okay.
絶対ですよ。
Yeah.
いろいろ準備して待ってますから。
Yeah. Heart. Yeah. Okay.
準備だって。
What? I play her words back over and over again in my mind. They were so incredibly sweet that I swear I could even hear the heart at the end of her sentence. I mean, we saw it. She's a bit sus, though. I have to say, this isn't like her at all. Is this her way of getting back at me for trying to tackle her earlier? Whatever. This is good. Very good. It was such a beautiful pickup line that I don't even consider that she may have an ulterior motive. Oh. I need more water. Okay. Huh? I enter the classroom only to find it in a state of chaos. The bell signaling the beginning of homeroom is already rung. However, instead of returning to their seats, everyone is still milling about and chatting.
Hello.
What are you up to?
Yeah.
Oh.
おはようさ。安定のやる気のなさで安心したよ。ところでこれどういうこと？
1次元目のノエル先生が風邪で休みなんだとよ。なんで
Oh yeah.
うちの番が来るまで
Had that whole thing with Noel Sensei before.
ますます状況が。うちの番ってなんだ？
だから予防接種の注射だろ。1週間前に
Wait,
ノエ
what?
ル先生が。ってそうか。あの日お前早退してたっけ？体調を崩す生徒が例年より多いんで特別に決まったんだよ。1年は昨日、2年は今日ってわけ。
Okay. That was the day I met Etiquette. I guess they announced the vaccination program during an after-school homeroom session. You cannot catch the vampire virus. Run! Our class's turn comes midway through second period. I line up outside the infirmary and wait to be called. I normally let up to 5 people wait inside the infirmary. But now they're having us go in one at a time for whatever reason. As a side note, Ariko's already gone home, after boldly declaring that he wouldn't do it because it'd be annoying and painful.
僕ちゃんは合格かな？
Araki sensei?
ちょっと痛いお注射しまちゅから我慢してね。
What are you doing here? I hear the doctor's voice coming from inside the infirmary. It doesn't sound like the elderly doctor that's usually on duty here. I guess it's because this is a one-off vaccine drive rather than business as usual.
僕ちゃんは健康ね。
We know that voice.
はーい。全然痛くないお注射しますから、適当に天井のシミでも数えてましょうね。
This grating voice is sadly all too familiar to my ears.
はーい、次のサンプルちゃん、どうぞ。
Uh-oh. I enter the infirmary. As I'd feared, the familiar sight of the infirmary has been disturbed by a kooky doctor who's as out of place in a school setting as a bull is in a china shop.
荒く博士。
Yeah, what are you doing here, bro?
あら、坊ちゃんたらここの生徒だったの？ 私びっくり。もしかしてこれ運命の赤い糸ってやつかしら？いやーん、困っちゃう。これで遠野家の財産独り占めじゃん。あ、でもうっかりラブダイブしちゃったらトーシちゃんに殺されちゃう。ダメダメ、それ美味しくない。
I knew she wasn't at the Tono Mansion today, but I'd never have imagined she'd be here instead. Wait, does this mean she's actually a real doctor?
なんて嘘嘘。初めから知ってたっていうの。学校でお医者さんプレイとか私も初めてだし、
Ooh.
背徳的っていうの？何にせよ初物は最高よね。ここならトーシちゃんの目も届かないし。では出席番号13番、東野四季君、観念して座りたまえ。
Okay.
逃げたら内申書に罰つけるぞ。
Miss Ara keeps on babbling feverishly as she busies as she busies herself preparing to administer the injection. I don't want to give her the satisfaction of getting a rise out of me, so I silently take a seat and hold out my right arm.
なんという冷静なスルー。マジかよ。しばらく見ないうちに大きくなっちゃって。やっぱり人間の成長速度って偉大よね。生き急いでるようで悲しいけど。さて、しきちゃんはどっちがいいかしらね。 っぱりこっち？どっち？パンチ？ウィンチ？
予防接種に種類があるんですか？
あるわよ。私、被験者にも選択の自由はあるべきだと思う派だし。
Hmm.
細くてあんまり痛くないけど効果が高いものと、
Okay. That sounds good if it doesn't hurt.
ぶっとくてすっごく痛いけど効果が薄いのがあるんだけど。
Yeah, no, I don't want one that hurts and doesn't do shit, so, I feel weirdly nervous for some reason. The answer seems obvious, but I say it anyway. Yeah, I'll take the one that's painless and effective, please.
痛くなくて効果がある方をお願いします。
しきちゃんたら遊びがない。
No, not allowed.
でも仕方ないか。患者さんの決断は絶対厳守が私のプライドだし。はーい、ちょっとチクッとするけど我慢してね。
Okay. Professor Arak seems a little put out by my decision, but she still carries out her work with remarkable deftness.
注射慣れしてるでしょ。ほら、私博士だけどナース服も大好きですし、メスの感触もしびれちゃうけど、お注射でドクドク注入しちゃう感じとかたまらないじゃない？
No, I don't like syringes.
で、無言で席を立つとか、しきちゃんひどくない？
いや、後が使えてますから。雑談はまた次の機会に。
I do feel bad, but if I keep chatting with her, second period will end. I straighten my uniform and go to leave the infirmary. As I do.
私も仕事が入ってるから次の機会とかないんだけどね。
え？
ま、そのあたりはいっか。しきちゃんとは関係ないし。
ん？
確かに後は使えてるし、楽しい日々はもうおしまい。ぬるい休憩はいい加減ここまでかもね。
I glanced back over my shoulder at her ominous words. It's probably just one of her usual sarcastic jabs. The shadow cast by Professor Arak's long hair sprawls across the curtain like a spiderweb. Sus. After what feels like an eternity, the promised time has finally arrived. I don't think I've ever been so painfully aware of how long a class is. Every second felt more like 10. It would be no exaggeration to say that it was torture. But in the end, my patience won out. The waiting hasn't managed to wear me down, and I haven't been brought low by my anemia either. I'll be heading into battle in tip-top shape.
いや、まずは購買部だ。昼休みなんだから昼食を持っていかないと。門前払いもあり得るぞ。
I obviously need to pick up something for myself, but I also want to have something nice to surprise Senpai with. I'm a bit conflicted about our relationship turning into one where I'm always laying offerings at her feet, but I don't see any harm in going overboard just for today. I pump the brakes on my desire to rush straight for the tea ceremony room, and instead make a beeline for the school store with a feigned air of tranquility. I knock on the door of the tea ceremony room. Senpai normally comes out to greet me, but I guess that's not the case today.
あ、遠野くんですね。すみません。今ちょっと手が離せなくて。
What is this heart?
入っちゃってください。
Oh. She responds from within with a particularly lively voice. I have no idea what it is she's getting ready for, but I feel a brightness, a radiance that I've never felt before. I half expect the hallway to be flooded with a pure white light of heaven the instant I slide open the door.
すみません。それじゃあ失礼しますね、先輩。
I clear my throat and open the door. What is it? I step into the tea ceremony room completely certain that this is going to be the greatest lunch break I've ever had. Is it not? It sounded like the door just locked itself. Did they install new automatic locks on the doors today? Tilting my head in confusion, I make my way into the room.
いらっしゃい、トーノ君。
What the fuck?
どうぞそこの
Big ass
座ってください。お茶も入ってますから。
Okay. Oh. What are you doing with that, huh? Ciel Senpai gives me a warm welcome. The room contains a pair of teacups and floor cushions, along with a familiar instrument of torture that's been put on prominent display.
先輩、それは。
ああ、どうぞ気にせずに。安心してください。それは善良な人には反応しませんから。悪い人にしか聞かないんですよ。例えば、約束を守らない嘘つきとか。
Oh, it does, huh? I wouldn't know one of those. Her smile is so perfect and unwavering that it's actually terrifying. This isn't a reward at all. It's a meticulously prepared ambush.
それは結構ですけど、なんだってそんな物騒なものをわざわざここに。
いいえ、ちょっと手入れをしていただけですよ。対はないのです。私的に今のところは。
Her words are practically oozing with ulterior motive. Senpai beams up at me from her seat on the cushion. This is bad. This is worse than facing Vrov. My life is forfeit if I don't hightail it out of here this second. Just as I start to back away.
まずは座りましょう、トーノ君。あ、もちろん正座で。
Okay.
ここ、お茶の間ですからね。
Yeah, it's true. That's pretty true. She makes the first move and cuts me off. Her timing is impeccable.
ですよね。座ります。
I slowly lower myself onto the floor cushion, keeping my back as straight as possible. I miss the senpai who cheerfully told me that I could sit however I liked. I cower like a whipped dog. Anyone would if they were in my shoes, confronted with both Senpai's smile and this overwhelming weapon. Oh.
これのことですが。
Yeah, put that down. Ciel Senpai picks up her weapon with a practiced motion, as though it were as commonplace an action as brewing a cup of tea. I can tell at a glance that this lump of steel is easily several times heavier than I am, but she didn't make so much as a sound as she hefted it.
本当は秘密なんですけど、トーノ君には一度見せていますから隠すこともありませんよね。
Okay.
これは大昔に作られた特別な道具を対吸血鬼用にリスト化したものです。トーノ君には何に見えますか？
Looks like a gun. I bite down painfully hard on my tongue to stop myself from saying that it looks like an absolute nightmare. Instead, I just say that it looks like a large gun. Obviously, I also sprinkle in the adjective super cool.
その通りです。
Yeah.
これは私が持つ武器の中でも大きなもので、ここから杭を打ち出して嘘つき。
Oh.
吸血鬼にお仕置きをする道具ですね。油圧式でしたが、それでは特殊環境下で故障する危険性が高いので、メイン動力は魔力による外部圧力に作り直しています。今まで3体もの大物を仕留めた私の自慢の一品なんですよ。
I see. Her slip of the tongue doesn't just send a chill down my spine. It practically freezes it solid. However, it seems like my split-second decision has saved me from the gallows. She visibly brightened up a little bit when I complimented her gun. I've got to double down and try to ride this out.
それはすごい。私のってことは先輩の手製なんでしょうか？このでっかいの。
もちろんですとも。
Wow.
もともとはある用途のために作られた装置だったのですが、それは祭壇のようなもので持ち運べないサイズでした。 なのでそれらを部分部分に解体したものの一つがこの杭打ち機断罪師の武装です。わかりますか？断罪師、要は罪人、例えば嘘つきとかを懲らしめる審判裁きの一撃ですね。このセブンの弾丸を受けて立ち上がれると、いえ、使徒はいないでしょう。
Ciel Senpai proudly puffs her chest out. She's right. Even a vampire would die if this menacing powbunker drove a stake through their heart. The problem here is that right now it seems like I'm the one in its crosshairs.
他にもいくつか種類がありますが、それらは今の遠野くんには関係がないので紹介はできません。誠に残念ですが諦めてください。
そうですか。それはよかった。参考までに聞きますが、その銃、杭打ち機の他にはどんな無理難題があるんでしょう？
そうですね。火炙り、引き潰し、切り刻み、毒まぶし、痛めつけといったところでしょうか。
Okay, yeah, cool.
おや、不思議なことに、これらは吸血鬼に共通した罪人にも適用される刑罰でした。
Yeah, who would do that?
それが何か
I'm toast. There's no doubt about it. She totally knows that I went out with Etiquette that last night.
ところでお茶をどうぞ。喉の渇きは会話の渇きですよ。
That's true.
きちんとしたお話をしてくれると思ったので、特別に渋いお茶を入れましたから。
Oh boy. Time to apologize as hard as I can. I can only pray that clemency for those who confess their sins is a principle shared by all mankind.
先輩、ですね。
はい。何でしょうか、遠野くん。
昨夜の話なんですけど。
ほう、昨夜のお話ですか。それは興味深い。成長しますので遠慮なくどうぞ。
Okay.
すみません。俺は先輩との約束を破ってアルクエイドと吸血鬼を探しに行きました。
そうですか。成果はありましたか？
ありませんでした。吸血鬼は慎重になってるみたいで、しばらくは膠着状態だろうってアルクエイドが。
でしょうね。それに関しては私も同意見です。私と神祖がいる以上、下手に動くことはないでしょう。ま、それはいいとして。それで、あなたの感想は？吸血鬼。
感想ですか？
That's an unexpected question. I figured she'd be a bit more direct about laying into me for breaking my promise.
そうです。やっぱり怖かったとか、もう二度と関わりたくないとか、そういった感想です。だって遠野くんは言ったじゃないですか。武器があっても戦うのは怖いって。だからこれで懲りたりはしないんですか？
それはありません。先輩の力になりたいのは変わらないし、吸血鬼のことを見なかったことにもできない。でもごめんなさい。先輩との約束を破ったことは反省しています。あの時点でアルクエイドと2人で吸血鬼探しをしていることを先輩に告白すればよかったんです。
I bow my head deeply. By trying to keep my promise to Etiquette, I trampled on Senpai's kindness. No, that's not it. I didn't want her to hate me, so I kept quiet about my promise to Etiquette, even though I knew that doing so meant being unfaithful to her.
告白ですか？それはそうですね。遠野くんははっきり 私に秘密を打ち明けるべきでした。ですが、私が反省してほしいのはそこではありません。遠野くんはもっと自分の体を大事にしてください。あなたは普通の男の子なんです。私のような掃除屋とは違う。だから遠野くんの身に万が一のことがあったら、私は自分が許せません。
Oh. I finally realize how stupid I've been. I got carried away by the fact that we defeated Vtuber. With the largest threat gone, I'd stopped paying attention to anything other than Senpai and Etiquette, and had underestimated just how dangerous vampires can be. Senpai isn't angry because I broke my promise. She's reprimanding me because I put myself in danger.
シエル先輩、
Damn it. My mind is a complete jumble of heartfelt regret and gratitude. I can't even think straight. All I can manage to do right now is stare directly at Senpai's face.
いろいろと言いたいことはありますが、そんな顔をされたら何も言えません。考えてみれば、一人で吸血鬼を探してはいけないなんて言った私にも落ち度はあったんですね。確かにあなたは一人ではありませんでしたし、まあ一緒にいた相手があまりにも問題でしたが。
いや、あれはトンチというか言い訳というかですね。
いいです。私も反省かつ学習しました。遠野くんがあれぐらいでおとなしくしている人じゃないってよーく覚えておきます。
Though she's criticizing me, Senpai's tone is also playful. What a relief. This conversation isn't over yet, but she seems to have forgiven me at least a little for breaking my promise yesterday.
でもあいつがいたって知ってるってことは、先輩はどこから見てたんですか？やっぱり俺たちと同じように街を探し回っていた時、隠れて見ていたとか。
さあ、何のことか全くわかりません。私、昨夜はこの町を離れていたので何とも。ノエル先生がたまたま見かけたとかで。
ノエル先生が？今日は休んでますけど、昨夜は元気だったんですか？
はい。
It seems she didn't know that Noel Sensei is absent today. Oh. After spending a couple of seconds lost in thought, Senpai changes the topic as though nothing had happened.
ノエル先生のサボり癖は後で追求するとして。今はあなたのことです、当の四季君。私にも落ち度があったので約束を破ったことは水に流しますが、問題はより大きくなったことを理解していますか？
I have?
問題って何ですか？
アルクエイドのことです。あなたは彼女の在り方を誤認しています。彼女が血を吸わないから人間の味方だなんて考えていませんか？
Maybe. Her sudden question renders me speechless. Not because of how sudden it was, but because it's the same question I've been doing my best to avoid thinking about these past few days.
そこまで単純に考えてはいないけど。でも、あいつはこの町に救っていた吸血鬼の敵だ。俺たちと目的は同じなんだから、協力したって。
やはり根本から間違えているようですね。いいでしょう。部外者である遠野くんに説明することは避けていましたが、今回は特例です。あなたがこの先も吸血鬼に関わるというのなら、彼女と彼女の敵、ロアについてお話しします。
The atmosphere changes. Senpai is staring straight at me with a serious expression on her face. I guess she's given up on trying to stop me from getting more involved. No objections here. I wanted her to tell me more about Etiquette and the other vampires anyway, so if that's what she's about to do, then fine by me.
世界に数多くいる吸血種の中でも霊長類ホモ・サピエンスの血液を糧とする異物を私たち聖堂教会は吸血鬼と呼称しています。吸血鬼は大きく神祖と使徒とに分類され、アルクエド・ブリュンスタットは神祖であり、この町に救っているローは使徒となります。上級の使徒たちは皆特殊な異能を持っていますが、ロアはその中でも異端扱いされている特例でした。
特例？あのブローブみたいなやつなんですか？ソとかいう吸血鬼の頂点みたいな。
そうですね。行ってきた最悪量で認定するのなら、ロアは使徒海底における9位27祖に匹敵します。事実、教会は彼を28人目の祖として捉えています。他の祖たちは彼を同意と認めてはいませんが。
One of the ancestors, a king among vampires, drove caused the catastrophe in this city just by showing up. You're telling me that this guy's been lurking here for decades? Then
ロアってやつはそんなに強いんですか？ブローブと同じくらいなら俺たちとっくに死んでいると思うんですけど。
ロア本人はそこまで強力な個体ではありません。ですが対処するという意味で言えばブローブよりはるかに厄介な相手なんです。何しろ死んでも生き返ってしまうんですから。
先輩、吸血鬼は不死身なんだから死んでも生き返ってくるのは当たり前なんじゃないかな。
不老不死と蘇生はまた別の話ですよ。確かに吸血鬼は致死の傷を負っても血液がある限り復元しますが、血液が底をついた状態であれば消滅します。消滅した後も霊族使徒たちが主の肉体を修復し、力ある血液を注ぎ込めば復元はするでしょうが、完全に消滅した後一人でに蘇生する吸血鬼はいない。けれどロアはそれすら克服してしまった吸血鬼なんです。遠野くんは輪廻転生という言葉をご存知ですか？仏教用語ですから日本の方には馴染みはあると思うんですけど。
Sam, sir. Etiquette mentioned this was one of his defining traits, too.
はい、ありますけど。死んでも次の人間として生まれ変わるっていうやつでしょ。
ロアの特性はまさにそれです。彼は輪廻転生を魔術として成功させた。死んでも生き返る、殺しても殺せないとはそういう意味なんです。
Even if he's killed, he cannot be slain. In other words, even if we grant ourselves some temporary relief by killing the vampire we're up against right now, he'll just be born again as another human in the next generation. It doesn't sound like he's deathless in that his life never ends so much as that his existence never does. I'm not sure exactly how versatile reincarnation is, but it sure seems like the only logical way to guarantee you eradicate Roa for good would be to eradicate all of mankind.
もっとも転生には制限があります。基本ロアは存命している間に次の自分をあらかじめ決めておきます。これと定めた血筋の胎児にこれまでの自分の全情報を移植するんです。ロアの情報はその胎児が成人ないし自己としての知性を持つまで影を潜めています。そして転生体が自分を引き継ぐにふさわしい知性を持った段階でロアという吸血鬼になってしまうんです。
ちょっと待って先輩、移植ってつまり赤ん坊が母親のお腹の中にいるときに手術みたいなことをするんですか？
基本的にはそうです。移植は転生先の肉体が胎児の時に行われます。それは医学的な工程ではなく、自然のサイクルに近い工程です。先ほど全情報と言いましたが、要は魂という名の電波と思ってください。電波を発信するのも受信するのも人間の脳。ロアはその肉体が死滅した際、魂を拡散させて次の肉体に転移します。転生先が決まっていればその肉体に、決まっていなければ一定条件を満たした胎児にランダムに。ロアの優れたところは、魂なんていう計測不能の形而上のものを定義し、伝達可能なものとして加工したことでしょう。
This is a lot to take in all at once, but I think I get the gist of it. So when Roa's physical body dies, he reincarnates into a baby and remains dormant until his new host reaches adulthood.
先輩の話を鵜呑みにすると、そいつは本当に死なないじゃないか。不死身じゃないけど、それ以上にタチが悪い。殺しても違う人間として生まれてくるなら、そいつは人間がいる限り永遠だ。不老不死ですらない。
ええ、その通りですね。ロアが使徒になったのは今から800年ほど前。それから現代まで転生した回数は16回。そのことごとくをアルクエイド・ブリュンスタットは殺害しています。
アルクエイドが？
はい。彼女にとってロアは特別な吸血鬼ですから。私にとってもロアは特別な吸血鬼なんですけど。神祖は使徒に関心を持たないものですが、アルクエイドは神祖の中で唯一吸血鬼を殺す神祖でした。彼女は今まで多くの吸血鬼を殺してきましたが、その中でも特に就寝していたのがロアです。
I remember hearing that Etiquette is a vampire who goes around killing other vampires. Case in point, she helped us fight Vove. She may be pursuing Roa in the same manner, but it feels like the circumstances surrounding it just got a bit more complicated.
そうだ。ブローブとロアは違う。ロアってやつは死んでもまた生まれてくるんですよね。なら何回殺しても意味がない。あいつそれを知ってて今回も追ってきたんでしょうか。
ええ、彼女にはそれしか手段がありませんから。そしてロアは吸血鬼として覚醒し、行動を起こした時点で彼女に殺され、その度に転生し、また彼女に殺される。そんな繰り返しをもうずっとしてきたんです。
Senpai bites her lip and looks down at the floor, her expression almost pensive. Still, a vampire that reincarnates if you kill them, huh? Vrov is a vampire whose mere presence wrought havoc on human society, but Roa seems like an altogether different breed. He embodies more of a slow, creeping dread. If a dead apostle like Vrov is akin to a natural disaster that befalls civilization, then a dead apostle like Roa is more like a disease festering below the surface of human society.
厄介ですね。先輩、そのロアって人はどんなやつだったんですか？
おや、ロアの説明はこれで終わりにするつもりでしたが、彼に興味があるんですか？
いや、なんとなく。そんな回りくどい不老不死を実現した吸血鬼はどんなやつだったのかなって。
そうでしたか。ではもう少しだけ。始まりのロアは男性ですが、その性別は転生先の肉体によって変化します。この人の厄介なところは、その発見が極めて困難という点ですね。何しろ人の子として生まれてきて、きちんとした両親がいるんです。ロアが吸血鬼として肉体と意識を変貌させるのは、肉体が満足に活動できる年からになります。ですのでロアの転生体は成長するまで吸血鬼としての片鱗を全く見せません。そのくせ一度ロアとして目覚めたら、 今まで培った人間関係を利用して完全に社会に溶け込むんです。教会がロアに気づいた時にはもう手遅れのケースがほとんどでした。ロアが育った町は死の都と化し、その絶頂期にアルクエイドによって終わらされています。
It's a pretty roundabout explanation, but it makes sense. If he grows up as a human child, it gives him a perfect cover to keep sucking blood and expanding his influence without anyone catching on. I still have one thing I want to clear up, though. When the host matures and awakens as Roa, what happens to the human part of them that had been in control up until that point? Does everyone just forget about that personality? Like it's something that was created only so that it could disappear?
忘れ去られるということはありません。だってその代のロアの人格と記憶は、それまで生まれ育った転生先の人間そのものなんですから。例えば A という人物がロアの転生先だとしましょう。A が成人に達して吸血鬼になった時、覚醒したロアの魂が A になるのではないんです。A という人物がロアという魂に汚染されるだけなんですよ。ある日突然、何の前触れもなく趣味や思考が変わるのだと思ってください。
二重人格のようなものじゃないんですね。
ええ。元からの肉体が持っていた魂にロアの魂がプリントされる。転生体とロアは一心同体なんです。転生先がどのような善人であれ、ロアが覚醒すればそれは吸血鬼という悪になる。死とはその生存手段そのものが人間にとって悪ですから。その折転生先の人格も肉体も変貌します。ロアという膨大な情報と価値観に切り替わるんです。
肉体も吸血鬼になるんですか？ちゃんと人間として生まれたのに。
転生するのは人格ではなく魂ですから。汚染されたロアの魂は覚醒した段階で転生先の肉体を徐々に吸血鬼化させる。何代も蓄え続けた情報を生かすにふさわしい怪物の肉体に。ですがそれだけでは万全とは言えません。転生は完成された不老不死のシステムですが、立ち上がりに不安材料が多すぎる。それを補うため、ロアは転生先の条件を絞ります。まず生まれてくる家が富豪であること、社会的地位も高く財産も豊かな家の子供として生まれれば、町すべてを吸血鬼化させるのに便利ですから。それともう一つが、転生先の肉体が強靭であること。こちらは絶対条件ではなく、都合が合えばというレベルですね。人間の中にも特別な力を持って生まれてくる子供はいます。魔術と呼ばれる学べば習得できる神秘ではなく、生まれつき肉体が持ってしまう得意能力。一般に超能力者や鬼子とされる人種のことです。得意能力というのは遺伝するケースが多いですから、ロアは自分の新しい肉体にそういった人間ではないものの家系を選ぶこともあったといいます。
Senpai dispassionately rattles off Roa's requirements. An affluent and influential family that consistently bears children endowed with special powers. For some reason, I don't like listening to her talk about this. It's not that it doesn't concern me, or that it isn't interesting. It's just thinking about those so-called requirements makes me feel sick.
ロアの話はここまででいいでしょう。言うまでもなくロアは私の敵であり、この町に住む人々にとっての脅威です。アルクエイド・ブリュンスタット。彼女こそロアを上回る災害にして元凶。この町を吸血鬼の住処にまで貶めたのは、他ならぬあの化け物です。
I'd been losing interest, but that single sentence snaps you right back to attention. It's like her words sparked a fire in my head. Did Senpai just say that Etiquette is the one to blame for all this? Does she seriously have the nerve to call her a monster?
何言ってるんだ先輩。あいつは俺を助けてくれて、町のために戦ってくれたんだぞ。元凶だなんてそんなこと。
だから、それが間違っているんです。彼女はこの町の安全なんて、ましてや人間の命なんて考えてすらいない。彼女は個人的な理由でロアを追っているに過ぎませんから。遠野くん、使徒だって元は人間なんです。彼らが吸血鬼になる方法は2つあります。魔導を極めて、自らの肉体を永久期間に変革させるか。神祖という、初めから吸血種として生まれたものに血を吸われるか。ロアは後者。神祖に血を吸われて使徒になりました。ロアという吸血鬼ですら、神祖という超越種の犠牲者に過ぎない。
Senpai is staring right at me. She didn't even flinch when I almost jumped out of my chair. It's clear from the cold look in her eyes that what she's about to say. Wait, she gonna say Etiquette would suck the blood. She said that she didn't.
アルクエイドがロアの血を吸ったって言いたいんですか？
Did she lie?
憶測ではなく事実です。
Oh.
彼女は800年前に一度だけ過ちを犯した。神祖の王族でありながら人間の司祭だったロアの還元に乗り、杯に組まれたロアの血を飲んでしまった。
Oh, so she didn't suck blood, she was like tricked into drinking his blood, okay.
神祖は私たちとは大きくかけ離れた存在です。使徒は確かに絶大な能力を持っていますが、それらは所詮人間の延長でしかありません。長い寿命を得たからこそ自己の能力を向上させ、結果としてあのような超能力を持つに至りました。極論ですが、ただの人間であっても長い寿命さえあれば、誰だって吸血鬼程度の能力は習得できる。
Oh yeah, I remember reading something like that in a book recently. Undying bodies and immortality aside, vampires apparently aren't all they're cracked up to be.
ですが神祖は違います。彼らは現れた時から人知の及ばない力を保有している。神祖とは精霊そのもの。地上で起きるあらゆる自然現象の化身。この星の分身と言ってもいい。私たち人間は自然との共存から独立、自立することで繁栄してきました。星の恩恵を受けながらも資源を略奪し、星が滅びようと私たちは滅びない未来を手に入れた。人間だけがこの現在に行き着いた。人間が地球上で最も優れた種として確立したのはこの一点があったからです。けれど星にしてみればそれは悪です。世界であれ一つの生命、一つの概念です。ですから自身を人間から守ろうという意志が働きます。
What on earth is Senpai talking about? There's no way that nature could possess some sort of will. Uh-oh. What's happening to him? Wait. Even if it did, there's no way it could act in self-defense, much less harbor animosity for the pests that have contaminated it. No. It has one. That much is certain. It is simply a class of life so different from your own, and so unfathomably vast that you cannot even perceive it. What the hell? This looks so strange. But cool. Behold reality. Behold nature's emotions in all their actuality. Behold these colors your feeble mind can scarcely endure. The rage and pain of this coursing life is simply something you humans are yet to be aware of. The momentary horror that assailed me has passed. I take solace in a worldview more in harmony with human perception. Does the planet harbor enmity towards the life forms that live on its surface? That's impossible. Or is it? Perhaps we are simply incapable of sensing it. Nature, the world, has a will. It is precisely because it does that it continues to keep us alive and protect us from harm. The problem isn't that we can't sense it. It's that nature has endorsed humanity's view of what constitutes beauty.
惑星、自然現象が自らの触覚として独立させた存在。それが一般に妖精、精霊と呼ばれる者たちです。神祖というのはその一種族なんです。元から人間を諌める役割として生まれた彼らは、人間を悪としか思っていない。私たちが人間を捕食する吸血鬼を悪と思うように、神祖にとって自然を食い物にする人間は悪なんです。
If that were true, it would be Why am I stumbling so much? I need water. Okay. If that were true, it would be utterly laughable. Why then would they be handicapped by design, unable to exist without feeding off of these wicked humans?
わかりますか？神祖にとって人間は敵に過ぎません。もともと自然の一部。いえ、この星そのものとリンクしている彼らの能力は、それこそ再現というものがないんです。教会の歴史の中でも、神祖と戦った記録は数えるほどしかありません。彼らは世界そのものから力を引き上げる。彼らを倒すということは、世界を倒すほどの概念武装が必要になります。もちろん、そんな武装はありません。ですから彼らには、外的要因による死を与えることができない。さらにはこんな碑文も残されています。神祖を討つのであれば、万全のまま撃ってはならない。死に瀕した神祖のみ葬るべしと。奇襲ぐらいでしか殺せない怪物だというのに、不意打ちを禁じているとかわけがわかりません。
That night. That's what she said in the hotel room. If she and I had met at night, instead of during the day, even my eyes wouldn't have been able to see her death. In other words, it would be absolutely impossible for her to die. She's the polar opposite of the man who sought reincarnation because death was his fate.
いいですか、遠野くん。アルクエド・ブリュンスタッドがロアを追っているのは、ロアに与えてしまった自分の力を取り戻すためなんです。それは決して人間のためではありません。なぜ彼女が弱っているのかは分かりませんが、もし力が戻れば、遠野くんの手を借りる必要なんてなくなります。その時、彼女が遠野くんを無事に返すと思いますか？
Senpai is truly serious about this. She's truly concerned for my life. She truly despises Etiquette and sees her as a blood-sucking monster. Sorry, Senpai. But I can't do the same. Even though I'm a psychopath, she accepted me for who I am with a smile on her face, just as you did.
返すに決まってるだろ。だってあいつが俺をどうにかするなんてそんな理由ないんだから。
彼女は吸血鬼です。それも使徒のように自身が生き延びるために血を必要とする吸血種ではありません。いいですか、遠野くん。神祖たちが人間から血を吸わなければ、そもそも使徒なんていう吸血鬼は生まれなかった。
That's true, that's true.
彼らは人間の血なんか吸わなくても生きていけるくせに、ただ吸いたいという吸血衝動だけで人間の血を吸って 人間を人間以外の怪物にしてしまうんです。そんなもののそばに一般人であるあなたを歩かせるわけにはいきません。
With that, Senpai's lecture is over. I can't help but feel like the person in front of me right now is a total stranger. Must be due to the recurring headaches I've been having today or something.
長くなりましたが、私からの話は以上です。これで彼女がどれほど危険な存在なのか理解してもらえましたか？
はい。額面通りにはなんとか。
よかった。じゃあもう彼女には近づかないでくださいね。協力なんてもってのほかですから。
I don't know. I just can't bring myself to agree with her. I mean, Senpai doesn't know anything about Etiquette. She's only saying all this because she has no idea that Etiquette's actually a good person.
遠野くん。
嫌です。あいつとの約束は破れない。
Oh.
だってアルクエイドはいいやつだし、俺を殺そうとするとかそんなこと絶対に。
ですからその彼女自身が危険なんです。いい加減目を覚ましてください。
He can, he's too much of a simp.
彼女は人間じゃない。いつ気まぐれから人間の血を吸うかわからない使徒以上の化け物なんですよ。
I get it. I get that Senpai really is worried for my sake. Even so, I can't let that insult slide.
やめてくれ先輩。あいつと話してもいないくせにそんなこと言わないでくれ。
それは確かにそうですけど、だけど彼女は吸血鬼なんです。それだけはちゃんと理解してください。
だからそれは違うんだって。いいか先輩、アルクエイドは血を吸わないんだ。あいつは自分でそう言ったし、それに嘘があったとは俺には思えない。他の真相がどうかは知らないけど、アルクエイドは別だ。あいつだけはきっと。
Doesn't.
きっと何だって言うんです。たとえ彼女が危険ではないとしても、遠野くんが戦うこと自体が危険じゃないですか。あなたは彼女とは違う、傷つけば死んでしまう普通の人間です。私が許せないのは、それが分かっていながら遠野くんを戦わせていることです。アルクエイドはあなたが死んでもいいと思っている。そんなの遠野くんを道具としか見ていないってことじゃないですか。
Senpai's outburst isn't directed at me so much as Etiquette, who isn't even in the room with us right now. Sparks go off inside my head. I'm well aware that Senpai is right. Logically, it's clear that I'm the one acting crazy here. But that's exactly why I find her voice so grating right now.
うるさい。
Oh.
遠野くん。
先輩はうるさい。アルクエイドは俺を道具扱いなんかしていない。知らないのに。アルクエイドのことを知らないくせに勝手なことは言わないでください。あいつが守ってくれなかったら俺たちはとっくに死んでたんですよ。少しは感謝するのが筋ってもんでしょ。
That's angry. I leap to my feet and yell at Senpai.
感謝？それこそありえません。あんな化け物に感謝してどうするんですか。そもそも元凶は彼女です。あれぐらい当然の義務でしょ。ああ、そういうことですか。なるほど、納得しました。どうしてアルクエイドが町を守ったのか。あれはあなたを騙すための布石だったんですね。ああやって人間らしいふりをすれば遠野くんがコロッと騙されるから。
I don't give a damn whether she was being serious or just trying to rile me up. It's clear that Senpai thinks I'm a fool for trusting Etiquette either way, and that Etiquette herself is nothing more than a vampire to be defeated.
俺は騙されてなんかない。だいたいあいつが嘘なんかつけるもんか。先輩みたいに器用じゃないんだから。俺はあいつを信じます。っていうかあれが嘘でも喜んで騙されてやる。
ですね、自分が何を言っているのか理解していますか？ 社会を守る私たちより、自由気ままに動いては街を混乱に陥れる、あの旗迷惑な真相を信じるって言ったんですよ。さすがにそれは聞き逃せません。っていうか、私をバカにしてるんですか？
バカにしてるんじゃなくて、アルクイドを信じるって言ってるだけでしょ。先輩こそどうして分かってくれないんですか？あいつと協力すれば街はすぐに元通りになるじゃないですか。
彼女と協力するのなんて死んでもお断りです。好きを重しにして眠った方がまだマシですから。
Huh? That metaphor feels a little familiar for some reason.
そうですか。死んだ方がマシって話ですか。じゃあ俺も言わせてもらいます。アルクエイドを目の敵にする先輩はなんか全然先輩らしくありません。ブローブの方がマシってレベルで不愉快です。
Damn!
そうですか。私も同じぐらい不愉快です。
I don't like this fight. I like Ciel. Don't do this, please.
そんなに言うならアルクエイドに騙されて、いいように使われたらどうですか？そんな人を心配するのもバカらしいですから、私。
まあ余計なお世話だよ。今日から大手を振ってあいつとパトロールできてせいせいする。アルクエイドの方が先輩より頼りになるし、強いし、いちいち小言も言わないし。
もういいです。出て行ってください。遠野くんなんか絶好です。こちらもせいせいします。遠野くんなんて頼りにならないし、弱いし、放っておけないことばっかりするし、二度と話しかけたり様子を見に行ったり、助けたりしませんから、そのつもりで。
それはよかった。じゃあ勝手にします。失礼しました。
I angrily shout back at Senpai and storm out of the tea ceremony room. Still fuming, I square my shoulders and march down the hall back to my classroom.
なんだよ、子供扱いして。先輩だって頑固じゃないか。アルクエイドを嫌うばっかりで、俺の話を全然。
No. It wasn't that she didn't listen to what I had to say. She listened to me patiently. I just flew off the handle when she started talking about Etiquette.
でも分からず屋なのは変わらないし。俺から謝ったりしないからな、もう。
Feeling my anger start to die down, I forcibly stoke its flames again as I rushed down the corridor. If I stopped running, I'd probably end up going back to the tea ceremony room and apologizing. My actions aside, Etiquette did nothing wrong. That's why, no matter how much it may weigh on my heart, I can't return to the tea ceremony room.
おや、昼休みも終わろって時にえらくしけた顔で戻ってきたな。ははん、購買部の袋を持ってるってことはろくなもん残ってなかったな。
This guy ditched school earlier, but he didn't want to get... wait. Restart. This guy ditched school earlier because he didn't want to get vaccinated. And now here he is again, acting like it never happened. Now that he mentions it, I am still holding the lunch I'd planned on eating with Senpai. There's only 10 minutes left before our next class. I'm not really in any condition to eat physically or emotionally.
アリヒコ、お前。
まあ8分目ぐらいかね。何？くれんの？
ああ、食べてくれ。ちょっと今は入りそうにない。
I hand the bag over to Arihiko.
そういうことなら喜んで。お、カレーパン多めだな。というかカレーパンしかないな。あとは牛乳だな。趣味どうかしているな。
Arihiko wastes no time getting stuck into the curry buns. Fifth period is starting soon, but at this pace he'll manage to polish them all off before it does. The bell signaling the end of lunch break rings. With a crushing weight of self-loathing heavy on my shoulders, I lie my face flat on the desk and wait for fifth period to start. Classes are over for the day, but I'm still in a bit of a somber mood. I'm the only one left in the classroom. After school, club activities have been suspended because of the serial killings. Almost all the students have already gone home, leaving the school building as silent as the grave. It doesn't look like Senpai's coming to pay me a visit. I guess she meant it when she said she were through. When she said she were through. Wait, she were through. She we are through. That makes no sense, bro. I guess she meant it when she said we're through.
いや、別に気にしてないし。単に休んでいただけだし。もうさっさと帰るからな。
I mutter aloud to the empty classroom.
Mail?
As I leave the classroom to head home, I hear my phone vibrate. I reach into my bag and pull it out. Surprisingly, the text seems to be from Noelle-sensei. Its contents are brief. You free? I've got something I want to show you, so can you come over? Oh, I know telling Ciel-san, okay? An address and a map are attached to the message. May as well go check it out. I don't know what she wants, but this could be a good way to take my mind off things. If I went straight back to the mansion, I'd just end up wallowing and getting even more depressed. I don't want to see Noelle. What the? Ew. I don't like her at all. There's an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. It closed down a few years ago because the company that owned it went bankrupt. I'm looking for what used to be the administrative building. Her text said she'd meet me on the 4th floor.
ここでいいんだよな。
I'm standing in front of a fire escape. This seems like an incredibly dangerous meeting spot, but I've definitely got the right address. This place has me on edge. But it would be stupid to leave after coming all this way. I'll have a quick peek upstairs. If Noelle-sensei isn't there, I'll just turn around and go home. I climb the rusty stairs, trying to make as little noise as possible. They're in pretty rough shape. It's like the whole building has just been left here to rot.
これ崩れないだろうな。
I cautiously ascend the stairs. As I do, I definitely just heard something. I don't think it was the wind either.
今の足音。上からだな。
The higher I climb, the louder they get. Before long, I've reached the 4th floor. A closed iron door stands in front of me. I try the doorknob, and it turns smoothly. It's not locked. Sounds like the noise is coming from in here. What the hell? I open the door and peer inside the room. It's dark. The room is completely shut off from the outside, and since the place is abandoned, the power to the lights is out too. Except... over on the other side of the room, there's something flashing intermittently.
ノエル先生。
I call out to her before going inside.
来てくれたのね、四季くん。ごめんなさい、迎えに行けなくて。
This is sus, bro. I don't like this. I hear Noelle-sensei's voice. It seems like this is definitely the right place. As soon as I take my hand off the door, it swings shut under its own weight. I squint as I peer into the darkness. Before I can even ask myself what's going on here, my hand instinctively reaches up to pinch my nose. This odor is repulsive, but familiar. Why have you... What's happening? I can feel the floor squelch under my feet. I slip my knife into the cuff of my sleeve so that I can draw it at a moment's notice. I continue to advance towards the other side of the room. There. Hello? It's a pair of vampires. They've each been tied to their chairs, with gags stuffed into their mouths. Their bodies twitch and convulse uncontrollably. Oh. These black keys. They are the source of the stench that clogs my nostrils. The rattling noise I'd heard earlier is their heels pounding against the floor as they desperately try to escape from the pain. Their feet are slowly becoming scorched, presumably by the light that surrounds each of the chairs. The pain of being roasted alive must be agonizing, as the edges of their gags are so frothy with spit that it's dripped down and soaked their chins. Just how long have they had their feet to the coals like this? They've been screaming for so long that the veins on their necks are bulging, and their muscles are so tense that you can see the outlines of their bones. Their writhing bodies are drenched head to toe in blood. It's clear at a glance that it's because they've been thrashing about trying to break free of their restraints. In addition to the injuries from all the different tools they've been mutilated by. No? Should I have? Blood and scraps of flesh are smeared all across the walls and floors. Being in this room feels just like being back in that passageway down in the catacombs beneath the department store. Right in the center of it all is a woman looking down at the two bound men with a wide smile on her face. Noelle-sensei. I'm so disturbed that I can't even ask her what the hell is going on here. Instead, I just stare at the woman in front of me. My question writ clear across my face.
わからない? Shiki 君には何度も助けられたし、いい機会だから私たちのお仕事を見せてあげようと思って。それにほら、この子たちのこと覚えてる?
I remember them all right. Are these the two that led the people? I think it is. I recognized them as soon as I laid eyes on them. The two men sitting in the chairs are the same ones who dumped me into the catacombs.
そういうこと。私だけで始末してもいいんだけど、あなたもこいつらには貸しがあるでしょ? だから仕返しさせてあげようと思って。
Oh, that's so kind of you.
はーい。お待ちかねの懺悔タイムよ、君たち。もう誰もやってこないし、防音は完璧だし、無粋なおしゃぶりは取っちゃいましょうね。
Xiang gags one of the vampires. You never imagined that the gurgling sound issuing from its lips was breathing. It was more like a broken pump attempting to spit out some water trapped inside it. It coughs violently, expelling the foamy mixture of blood and saliva that had been collected in its mouth, then raises its head and stares at the woman. The look of bloodlust and hatred in its eyes was nowhere to be found. It's been hours since it last held any such hope that it might be able to fight back.
嫌なんです。死にたくない。せっかく不死身になったのに、こんなところで死にたくない。もうやめてください。許してください。こんなのってないです。いくらなんでもあんまりです。俺たちだって被害者なんです。
I have no sympathy for these two. Right now, it's helplessly weak. It's weak and so frail that even the slightest push would send it to its grave. It's begging for help with all its might, desperately clinging to life. By nature, human beings feel compassion towards any beings weaker than themselves. We possess the intelligence to judge people not for their past deeds, but for who they are in the present. Take how criminals are handled, for example. No matter how heinous their crimes, once they've been captured and rendered powerless, they are granted forgiveness and a chance to make up for their past mistakes. Only those who have suffered at the hands of the criminal in question have the right to choose whether to denounce this compassion as simple naivety, or to quietly uphold it as an exclusively human example of benevolence. Oh, that's red. That's very red. Wow. The woman is merciless. She listened patiently as that weak creature begged for its life. and only when it was finished did she set about disposing of it, meticulously slicing off one piece of it for every entreaty it had uttered. She started with 5 of its fingers, then onto the wrist, from there its elbow, its shoulder, then, just to spice things up, another finger. When there are none left, she swaps out her tools and sets to work on its internal organs. Gone is the instrument she used for slicing and snapping. Instead, she continues to dispose of its body using a tool designed for stabbing and burning. It's almost like watching someone prepare a meal. She could be a chef, filleting a live fish, except the difference in technique and philosophy is like night and day. A chef has the skill to determine where to cut so as to avoid killing, and her philosophy is to preserve the freshness of the fish. But she is the opposite. There's no artistry to her technique at all. The only reason this thing is still alive is that it's hard to kill. There's only one thing they do have in common, and it's a tenuous connection at best. They share a common objective, to create a delicious meal. She disposes of it while it's still alive. She leaves its vocal organs for last, just so she can savor its delicious screams. Goodbye. The scream soon cease, not because it's died, but because its body disappeared from the chair. The woman meticulously dismembered the vampire until only its head remained alive, then packed all of the parts into a 50-centimeter square box and sealed it shut. The remaining vampire watched it all unfold with his face contorted in fear. Or more accurately, he was forced to watch it. Its eyelids had been sliced off before the show started, denying it the ability to look away from the grisly scene. I can hear its blood-choked wheezing. A desperate scream is leaking through a gap in its gag. No doubt it's begging for its life.
どう？この海底の吸血鬼に通覚はないんだけど、特別にこいつらにも通じる道具でバラバラにしてあげてるの。
Interesting.
たった1日の審問時間しかないんだもの。これぐらいはやらないと、この子たちに騙されて殺された人たちの無念は晴らせないでしょ？
The woman takes her eyes off the vampire and approaches me, her boots noisily sticking to the floor. She's carrying what looks like an antique chopping saw in her hands.
さあ、Shiki君もどうぞ。
No thank you.
これは洗礼済みの器具だから、素人が使っても効能は発揮されるわ。切れ味は悪いけど、その分頑丈で、吸血鬼は触れた箇所から焼かれていくから、返り血も出ない優れものよ。いきなり首を切るのも悪くないけど、初めはやっぱり小指からの方が簡単だから、できるだけ苦しめて殺しちゃって。
Yeah, look, I'm not into this sort of thing. The woman holds out the coping? I say coping saw to me. Yeah, I won't do something so pointless. I don't need that. Yeah, I'm not fucking doing that. What the fuck? I swat her hand away. I'm surprised by how violently I pushed her back. I guess it shows just how repulsed I am by her.
へえ、何？悪趣味ってどのあたりが？でも、その割には落ち着いてるわよね、四季君。普通に生きてきた人間なら、この部屋に入っただけでも大友のなのに、さっきからこいつらじゃなくて、私にしか注意を払ってないし。趣味がおかしいのは私だけじゃないと思うけど、それとも、性癖がバレないように、いい子ちゃんぶってるとか？
No. Yeah, we got the 12 pieces. I resist the urge to rise at provocation. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm a good person or anything. I just said it was messed up because her actions don't really serve her goal.
俺は人間を襲う吸血鬼を殺したいだけでいたぶりたいわけじゃない。
はあ？人間を襲う吸血鬼を殺したい？バックじゃないの？それがいい子ちゃんぶってるって言うのよ。吸血鬼は何であれ殺すの、死ぬの。考えられる限りの傷を重ねて自分からもう殺してくださいって懇願するまで苦しめるものなんだってば。
Without taking her eyes off me, the woman casually launches her weapon at the chair behind her. The weapon skewers his groin. Oh! His muffled howls of anguish reverberate throughout the concrete room. He's frothing at the mouth so vigorously that it reminds me of a hot pot that's reached the rolling boil.
さあ殺して。相手は何もできない生肉よ。あなたが今まで殺してきた死者より簡単な作業でしょ。違うのはあれは人間らしい知性があって人間らしい悲鳴を上げて人間らしい生活をしてたってことだけじゃない。人の痛みがわかる相手なら人間の痛みを味わってから無残に落ちぬべきなのよ。
Her eyes are filled with hatred. Not for the vampire, but for me, the person who refused to torture it. Noelle hates me for disagreeing with her values, but also herself for being so weak that my rejection was enough to make her conviction waver.
じゃあどうするの？もしこいつがもう人間は襲わないなんて誓ったら見逃してあげるの？生かしてあげるの？信じられない。こいつらが何人罪もない人間を餌食にしてきたと思ってるの？こいつらは怪物なのよ。なのにただ人間っぽいって理由だけで人間扱いしてやるの？君は。
I can't deny it. It's true that the man in front of me tried to kill me. He succeeded in killing countless others the same way. That's besides the point. She didn't say that's why I should kill them at all. Instead, she implied that anyone who becomes a vampire cannot be allowed to live. That they aren't entitled to the same rights as a human. That they deserve to die, no matter what kind of individual they may be. I can't endorse that way of thinking. If I come face to face with a vampire that preys on humans, or a living disaster like Vrov, then of course I'd have no choice but to fight to the death to defend myself. But if a vampire doesn't attack humans, instead choosing to live quietly among them, then I've no reason to kill it. There's just no incentive for me to go that far.
ああ、そうわかったわよ。こんな国でのんきに生きてる君に期待しちゃった私が間抜けってわけね。せめてそこで見張り役でもやっといて。かかしみたいに突っ立ってこいつらの末路をよーく覚えておくがいいわ。
The woman turns around from me and walks over to the vampire tied to the chair. She yanks the gag from his mouth.
助けてください。助けてください。
Plaintive cries for help spill from his lips, the mere sound of which would tug on anyone's heartstrings. Perhaps he's actually earnestly vowing to better himself, vowing that if he can escape from this nightmare, where the woman in front of him is about to beep him alive, he'll do everything he can to atone for his sins, much in the same manner as a profligate sinner who has suddenly seen the light and awoken a fervent believer in the Lord.
ダメ。あなたは死ぬの。というか死ぬの。死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの死ぬの。
Oh, okay. The dismemberment begins. Piercing screams cut through the air. Ferocity only intensifies with each passing minute. And even what she did to the first body looks tame in comparison. The tool she had wielded so efficiently before is now brandished wildly. Her dissection is no longer cold and meticulous, but downright cruel. Her screams of condemnation are so fierce that I can hardly tell which of them is the demon anymore.
跡形もなく殺してやる。死ね。 死ね死ね死ね死ね、早く死ね、今すぐ死ね、最後まで苦しめ、限界まで助けを超え。吸血鬼も吸血鬼のなり損ないも吸血鬼になるやつも、みんな汚らわしいウジ虫と同じなんだから。ねえ、そうでしょ。私の言っていることわかるわよね、四季君。吸血鬼になった者は速やかに死ぬべきなの。こいつらはゴミ以下なの、病原菌なの。
I
た
don't
だ
know.
そこにいるだけで汚物を垂れ流す害悪なのよ。
She picks up the instrument of justice that was lying in the corner of the room. You couldn't call what she's doing torture or dismemberment at this point. The woman lifts the nearly 2-meter-long halberd, scraping the walls and ceiling in the process, and begins to pulverize the vampire's body. With a dull thud, her strike rends his flesh and shatters his bones. The vampire's body crumbles in on itself as it's torn in half along with the chair it was sitting in. Her crushing blow was so violent that the chains binding his arms to the chair have come loose, and the blades driven into the floor have been blown away. As restraint's gone, the upper half of the vampire begins to frantically crawl across the floor.
ほら見てよ、このありさま、ゴキブリみたい。こんなになってもこいつらは死なないの。気持ち悪い気持ち悪い気持ち悪い気持ち悪い。こんなの生きてる価値もない。
Yikes. Thus sends a dismemberment of the second body. She doesn't even bother to put this one in a box. It's beaten to such a pulp that nobody would be able to recognize it anyway. So there's no need to pack it up and take it home. The woman is staring at the floor, her back to me.
ほら、やっぱり私の方が正しいじゃない。吸血鬼は害悪なんだって。もし自分がそうなんだって分かったときは、死んで、自分から死んで、みっともなく泣き叫びながら、死にたくないって謝りながら、首をかっきって。それができないなら、糞尿漏らしながらひざまずいて、何度も何度も命乞いをした後、私に首を差し出して。
Okay. With glassy eyes, she spits out a string of curses. Her halberd falls to the floor with a loud clang. Her shoulders have been shaking as she panted, but she takes a deep breath and steadies herself.
なんて、ちょっとどかしすぎちゃった。
No. None of this just kidding. Go fuck yourself, Noelle. I hate you.
四季君たら危機感が薄いから、お姉さんついやりすぎちゃった。
She's like an entirely different person. It's as though whatever had possessed her is gone, and she's back to being the Noelle sensei I remember. I leave the building and climb down the stairs to a sunlit alley. Noelle sensei suggested that we not speak of what happened in that room.
使徒と戦うってことがどんなことなのか。ほら、保健室で四季君、シエルさんの意見に文句がありそうだったから、それでピンときたの。あなたは私と同じで、吸血鬼から町を守りたい人なんだって。なら、お互いの心情は知っておくべきじゃない？
Protecting the city from vampires. That should be our top priority. I'm not going to argue it there. Even so, I'm hesitant to go along with her. While the memory of that horrific display is still fresh in my mind.
俺の心情は単純ですよ。知ってしまったから無視できないし、先輩の助けになりたいだけです。それより、ノエル先生は反対しないんですか？シエル先輩は、一般人は吸血鬼には関わらせないと言っていました。
なんで？吸血鬼を殺すのはいいことだし、特別な力があるのなら人々のために使うべきでしょ？
教会の代行者だからとか、普通の男子生徒だからとか、そんなの関係ないわ。私は四季君の勇気に拍手を送りたい気分だけど。
She clearly approves of my involvement. I saw some evidence of this already back in the infirmary, but it seems like she really doesn't share the same policy as Ciel-senpai. Ciel-senpai tells me that I shouldn't fight. Will-sensei tells me that I should fight. It seems like I owe senpai more than I thought. When presented with both of their conflicting perspectives, it really drives home just how differently they think about things. One of them wants to do what's right as a human being, while the other is more concerned with my safety.
それにしてもシエルさんにも困ったものね。事態を一日でも早く収束させることが最善の手段なのに。四季君の協力を拒んだり、優先度の低い調査を始めたり、気が緩んでるんじゃないかしら。ま、それも演技なんでしょうけど、あの冷酷な悪魔がたった数日で変わるはずがないんだし。
冷酷って、シエル先輩のどこが？
Both what she said and the way she said it have caught my attention. It's only a hunch, but I feel like the words Noelle-sensei just muttered hold some hint about her own true nature.
ほら、分かってない。あの子が誰にも優しい、底抜けの善人だとでも思っていたんでしょ？ほんとバカらしい。あれはただの掃除屋で、人間らしい感情なんてありっこないの。いい意識くん。あの子の笑顔は全部作り物だから。その方が仕事を進めやすいからそうしてるだけで。君だって騙されているだけなのよ。
I don't want to hear that coming from you. Despite scurrying up to give her a piece of my mind, I can't manage to come up with any objections. Am I supposed to jump to Senpai's defense when I angered her myself not that long ago?
あら、思うところがあったみたいね。君もうすうす感づいてたってこと？ちょっと脅かして様子を見るだけだったけど、そういうことなら私も踏み込んであげる。四季くん、シエルさんのことを知りたいんでしょ？あの子がどんな人間なのか、どうせあの子は話さないだろうから、特別に私が教えてあげる。
There's a hint of malice in Noelle-sensei's smile. I'm conflicted. I know that I shouldn't pry, but I'm also desperate to learn more about Senpai. In the end, I can't bring myself to stop her. Noelle-sensei begins to tell me about Senpai's past, as though relishing my inner conflict.
私たち代行者は2人1組が基本だけど、狩りの成功率は高くない。大抵どちらかが死ぬか、両方とも殺されて終わりって世界よ。もし10年以上代行者をやってるやつがいたら、そいつはそれだけで立派な異常者として扱われる。心が壊れているか、とっくに吸血鬼化しているのに隠しているとか、まあいろいろ陰口言われるわけ。そんなひどい職場であの子は何体もの吸血鬼を殺してきた。どんなにひどい使徒が相手でも生き残る。どんなにずる賢い使徒が相手でも正体を突き止める。成功率は実に 100%。 ほとんど奇跡よ、こんなの。あの子が鬼子の扱いじゃなきゃ聖女認定されてるくらい。まあそれができたのはほんと単純な理由なんだけど、代行者シエルの名前は人たちにも知れ渡ってる。13歳で代行者になった吸血鬼狩りのエリート。代行者になってからもひたすら使徒を殺し続けて、ついには埋葬機関にまでスカウトされた。吸血鬼を殺すためだけに生きてるマシン。君も見たでしょ？グローブなんて怪物と渡り合っていたもう一人のモンスターの姿を。
I want to refute what she just said, but I also don't want to interrupt the conversation. Also, it's weird, but when Noelle-sensei describes Senpai as a monster, it doesn't sound like she's looking down at her at all. On the contrary, It's like her voice is filled with respect.
ああ、埋葬期間っていうのは私たちにとってそうね、教会の中の治外法権。権力に近寄れない代わりに権力に縛られない動く武器庫みたいなものと思って、ごく少数で組織された公安警察みたいな。埋葬機関は他の秘跡会と連携を取る局長とその局長に管理される7人の代行者で構成されている。本当は予備の代行者がもう一人いて、実践要員は8人いるらしいんだけど、大司教から自由行動の特権を許されたのは7人だけ。それ以上増やすのは危険と判断されたのね。局長ナルバレックを筆頭に集まったそれぞれが一つの秘跡界に匹敵する聖人のなり損ない。枢機卿ノイセオナトール・グランファテマ、司祭アンドレイ・ゴット・ビバーク、シスターキアラ・キッショーイン、エクソシストミスター・ダウン。
I like how all these have like fancy names, and this one's just Mr. Dawn. Ah, yes.
5人目は知らないけど、6人目が代行者アーガレオン、そして最後が私たちの知っているあの子。弓の称号を贈られた第7位、代行者シエルってこと。あの子は殺したわよ。私なんか比べ物にならないぐらい殺してきた。相手が女子供でも容赦なく殺してきた。代行者になってから吸血鬼狩りをしてない日はないんじゃないかってぐらいに。1日、1週間、1ヶ月、何の不平も不満もなくあの子は淡々と仕事をこなしてきた。私が聞いた中で一番長かったのは、たった一人の使徒を殺すために1年間その町の下水路に潜伏していたって話。その使徒は町そのものを監視できる異能があって、部外者や異常に敏感な人だった。で、あの子が選んだ手段は排水溝からの侵入と潜伏。下水路すら使徒にとっては血管みたいなものだったけど、その血管の中を流れる汚物にまでは感覚が届かなかったのね。秘跡も魔術も使えば感知される状況だったから、あの子は黒剣のエオイに飲み込んで下水に入っていった。この国の整備された下水じゃない。汚物で詰まったヨーロッパの下水路で体を汚水に浸して顔だけを水面に出してギリギリの呼吸をして、ただ機会を待ち続ける1年間。
Bruh.
ほんと
Dedication.
想像するだけで寒気がする。この件ばっかりは吸血鬼に同情するわ。町を完全に支配下に置いて、やってきた代行者も全員殺して、ようやく自由に闊歩できると安心しきった人が広場に踏み出した瞬間、下水溝の網の下から一撃で即死よ。私と組むまであの子はずっとそんな調子だった。わかる？吸血鬼を殺すことだけに特化した非人間、それがシエルなの。私たちと同じ普通の人間だなんて思わない方が身のためよ。
I'd assumed that Senpai had lived an eventful life, but this is more than I could have imagined. It makes total sense that Etiquette would hate Senpai. It's equally clear why Senpai would view Etiquette as an enemy. Still, despite what I've just heard, I can't see her as someone whose only purpose in life is killing vampires.
先輩のことは分かりました。でも、ノエル先生は先生も代行者なら先輩と同じなんですか？
私が？冗談やめて。あんなのと一緒にしないで。
Damn.
私はいたって普通の人間よ。あんな風に周りを騙せないし、割り切ることだってできない。そもそも代行者としての才能がなかったの、私。修道院に3年入ってやっと半人前だった。それでも人並みには頭が回ったから、司祭様に取り入って2年かけてやっと代行者になったの。それから2年ぐらい経った後かな、あの子と知り合ったのは。 あの子は埋葬期間に入ったばかりで相棒がいなかった。私は頼りになる相棒が欲しかった。ほら、あとはわかるでしょ。同郷のよしみもあったし、私たちは晴れてチーム成立。それから5年、あの子の活躍のおかげで、私はまだ生き延びてる。
Wait. Time out. I felt like something was off before, but I finally managed to put my finger on it. Did she just say they've been together for 5 years?
ちょっと待ってください。先輩と5年も一緒だったんですか？
そう言ったつもりだけど、私たち5年来の師弟関係だもの。
でも、それじゃ。
Or rather, that means...
年齢が合わないでしょ。当然よ。あの人、あの時から年を取ってないの。
She's 200 years old. I feel like I'm about to black out, but steady myself and push through. Ciel Senpai hasn't changed at all over the last 5 years. I can't tell if she's telling the truth or not. I can't even tell why I'm so surprised to learn 5 years have passed.
そんな。それじゃあ、まるで。
そう。吸血鬼と同じよね。でもあの子は吸血鬼とは違う。だって完全な不老不死なんだもの。
Her statement makes my breath catch in my throat. Perfectly immortal? That can't be right. Well, Sensei must be pulling my leg after all. I mean, vampires have undying bodies, but not even they have attained perfect immortality.
いいえ。あの子は本当に何をやっても死なないのよ。殺しても蘇る。体が燃え尽きて灰になっても元通りになっている。何が起きてもあの姿のまま生き続ける。あの子はね、分類的には吸血鬼なのよ。私たちと違って一つの命にすがっていない。だから死を怖がらず目的を達成するまで永遠に走り続ける。成功率 100% の理由ってこういうこと。簡単でしょ。あの子に狙われた吸血鬼はもう絶対に逃げられないんだから。
じゃあ、ノエル先生とシエル先輩は？
そう。私が弟子で彼女が師匠よ。さっきのやり方だってあの人の真似事。いえ、
No, hey.
あの人の手札はもっと凄惨かな。あの人、大抵の拷問は体験済みだから、やられるのもやるのも寒気がするほど上手なのよ。分かってくれた？代行者シエルは吸血鬼と同じ化け物なんだって。人のことを何とも思っていない殺戮者。でも吸血鬼を殺して回る分だけは生きていていい権利がある。
That seems to be what she wanted me to hear most. I scratch at my chest and start breathing again. Right now I feel angry. Not because I've just learned what kind of person Senpai is, or that she's actually immortal. It doesn't matter to me at all. I'm just angry at myself for being shaken by Noelle's words.
今にも倒れちゃいそうね、四季君。やっぱりショックだった？
ええ。頭にくるぐらいショックです。それより、なんだってこんなことを話す気になったんですか、先生は。これも隠しておくべきことでしょ
う。そうだけど、あなたの考え違いを正してあげたかったの。私が言うのもなんだけど、助けてもらったからって簡単に心を許しちゃダメよ。
No, that's definitely a lie. Senpai hasn't done a single thing that could be considered using me. I'm the one who suggested we cooperate. Senpai has always been looking out for me. Not once has she asked me to do something herself.
そうなんだ。意外ね、それ。まあ、仮にそうだとしても、始まりが不正なのは変わらないわ。四季君、あの人に暗示をかけられていたことさえ気づいてないんだから。
What are you talking about? My mind freezes at her words.
暗示。
This time I get so dizzy that I feel like I'm going blind. So that would be impossible. If she had powers of suggestion over me, I would have just accepted the argument we just had with her and been like, oh yeah, I'm going after Etiquette. Like, that makes no sense.
そうよ。あの人は自分に好意を持つように、四季君を操っていた。
I don't know.
嘘だと思うなら思い出してみなさい。あなたはいつからシエルと知り合いなの？あの子を先輩と呼ぶようになったのはどんなきっかけだった？
How long have I known her? That's easy. Senpai's a third-year student, and I've known her since I was a first year. Since I was a first year? I don't remember. I don't remember anything. I can't recall a single memory of spending time with Senpai at school. The earliest thing I'm able to remember is that time I met her on the train. Now that she mentions it, when did I start referring to her as Senpai? I don't even know which class she's in. Thank you very much, Tono-kun. She said those words with a smile on her face. Because of that, I felt like I'd always known her. On top of that, there's something else. Everyone calls her Ciel like it's totally normal, but not once have I heard anyone call her by any other name. How come nobody has ever wondered why she has a name like that?
ほら見なさい。私だって赴任して仰天したわ。いくら筆跡に耐性のない一般人でも、100人200人に暗示をかけるなんて、並大抵の魔力量じゃないもの。さすがは第7位ってところかしらね。それとも、暗示だからこれだけのことができたのかしら。暗示は所詮暗示。印象の操作に過ぎないものね。記憶そのものをいじる洗脳とは違うんだし。四季君たちはきっとシエルを疑問に思わないということだけを刷り込まれていたんでしょうね。
I see. I was a little uneasy when I first met her, but with every encounter my suspicion lessened. She seemed like she fit in perfectly wherever she was. That was Senpai's distinguishing trait.
でも、それは
Doesn't mean that Senpai was deceiving me. She had a reason.
俺たちを危険にさらさないために黙っていただけでしょ。
ええ、一般生徒にはね。でも四季君はもう違う。あの地下を知った以上、暗示は解いてあげるべきだった。それに、教えてあげるべきことを黙っているというのは思いやりになるのかしら。知られたら都合が悪いから黙っているだけじゃないの？
I hate to say it, but she's got a point. I can do nothing but stare down at the floor and bite my tongue, as if unable to look the reality of her words in the eye.
これで分かったでしょ？あの人がいい子ちゃんに見えるのは全部演技なんだって。ええ、演技でなかったら今までの冷酷ぶりは何だったっていうの。
I hear the sound of grass being trampled on. When I look up, she's already made it to the exit from the courtyard.
話はこれでおしまいよ。そろそろあの人もここを見つけるだろうし、四季君と密会していたなんて知られたら何をされるかわからないわ。最悪、四季君と私もう用済みだからって消されるかも。そもそも四季君は知っちゃいけないことをたくさん知っちゃったし、なんであれ証拠隠滅はしなくっちゃね。
証拠隠滅って何を？
そう、それはこれからの行動次第よ、四季君。あの子の機嫌を損なわないよう、あの子に見逃してもらえるよう、せいぜい頑張ってみれば。ま、仕事が全部終わった後はいつも通り死人に口なしってオチでしょうけど。
I'm seething with anger and indignation. I'm seething with anger Why can't I say this? I'm seething with anger and indignation. That's not how this will end. Even if Senpai does want to protect her secrets, she said she'd just erase my memories. Though that said, there's a part of me that wonders whether she really can just erase this 1 week's worth of memories.
そうそう、そういう顔してもらわないと危険を冒した甲斐がないわ。それじゃあね、四季くん。今日の話をちゃんと胸に留めて、私みたいに何もかも台無しにされないよう気をつけて。
待て。
I call out to stop her, but it's already too late. The woman who invited me to the otherworldly place to tell me all about her version of the truth has disappeared, a smile on her face. The spider of anxiety has crawled its way into the recesses of my skull. Shaking my head to clear away the cobwebs it spun inside my head, I too take my leave of the abandoned factory, now dyed a deep red by the setting sun. Hmm.
お帰りなさいませ、四季様。
ただいま、翡翠。ごめん。ちょっと頭が痛いんだ。
うん。
少しだけ休むから、夕食になったら呼びに来てくれ。
She went out of her way to welcome me home. But I don't have it in me to greet her properly, and instead just head straight to my room. Only after I returned to my room, locked the door, and sat down on my bed do my swirling emotions finally settle down. Senpai and I had a falling out over a heated argument. After that, I witnessed that gruesome scene at the abandoned factory. First, Senpai told me to cut all ties with Etiquette. Then, Noelle-sensei told me that I shouldn't trust Senpai either. She claimed that Senpai was only using me as a tool to kill vampires.
なんだそれ。悩むまでもないじゃないか。先輩が俺を利用しているなら、アルクエイドとのことであんなに怒らないはずだ。
Shell Senpai would never deceive me. She's more concerned about my own safety than she is about exterminating vampires. And yet, in spite of that, I spurned her advice and ended up hurting her with my thoughtless words.
わかってる。先輩は悪くない。悪いのは頭に血が上った俺の方だ。
I'm so pathetic. I really wanted her to trust Etiquette, and I should have been more patient. I should have tried harder to mediate between the two of them. I love Senpai. And love is a mix of respect, camaraderie, lust, and a whole host of other emotions. I've never wanted to make another person happy as desperately as I do right now. I didn't have to deal with my anemia. I'd have asked her out a long time ago. That being said, I feel just as strongly about Etiquette. The emotions I feel for her are different, but I'm mesmerized by her all the same. Can't stand to hear someone who can smile like that branded as nothing more than a vampire. That's the whole reason I ended up lashing out at CL Senpai in the first place.
なんだそれ。筋が通らない。
Shit. I didn't know I was this sort of person. It's perfectly clear to me that I love Senpai. So why can't I stop thinking about Etiquette? Maybe it's because I love her that I couldn't stand to hear her say those things about Etiquette. Second, heavier sigh escapes my lips. The sun has already set. Only a few hours now until the time I promised to meet up with Etiquette. Still racking my brain for an answer, I lie my exhausted body on the bed and wait for Hisui to call for me. I finish eating dinner and return to my room. Even this mild headache makes me feel like I'm about to collapse. But I take a deep breath and steady myself. I spent too much time with my glasses off looking at the lines recently, and I've been getting a lot more headaches as a result. Even here, I can feel the toll this vampire hunt has taken on me. Senpai was right when she said I shouldn't go wandering around the city at night, but even so... It's almost time to meet up with Etiquette. The decision to keep hunting vampires or call it quits isn't mine to make alone. I'll meet up with her one more time and confirm how I really feel. If that ends up spelling the end of my partnership with Etiquette, then so be it.
そうだよな。一番良くないのは、このまま答えを出さないことだ。
Once I'm ready to head out, I switch off the lights. After double checking my knife is in my pocket, I head off towards the park where Etiquette waits. Nobody notices me as I make my way to the main gate. The road in front of the Tono estate has never attracted much traffic, and I'm basically the only pedestrian that uses it. Any more drink? It's particularly quiet tonight. People don't go out as much lately because of the serial killings. Most of the homes in the residential district down the hill have already turned off their lights. Even though it's only 10 o'clock, the silence is reminiscent of the dead at night. Dead of night. We're nearing the end of October, and there's a faint chill in the air. Soon, it will be spooky, scary skeleton Halloween. No. Autumn will also be over before long. I idly mutter to myself that it'd be nice if this all gets wrapped up before the biting cold of the winter sets in. I walk along the perimeter of the estate. Down the hill from here is the residential district. When I'm on my way to school, I head southwest from there towards the shopping district. After I make my way past the shops, I end up at the north side of the station, so I cut through here to get to the south plaza. From there, it's only another 10 minutes or so on foot. Tonight I'm heading to the park over on the south side of town, so there's no need to pass through the shopping district. If I just head due south, through the residential area, there's an underpass beneath the tracks that bisect the city. From there, it's a straight shot to the park. I've got a little under 15 minutes before 10 o'clock. Going through the shopping district means I'll be sticking to the unlit back streets of the city, but I've got to take the shortest route tonight if I want to make it in time. As I walk, I catch sight of a shadowy figure by the wall surrounding the estate. It's a young woman wearing a habit, leaning against the wall. Surprisingly, it doesn't look like she's here to get in my way. It's more like she's just here to see me off. Noelle? Oh no, Ciel doesn't look like she's that big. Oh shit, it is. Damn, shit, okay. I come to a stop. Her gaze is cold, and there's no emotion to her voice. I planned on looking for her at school tomorrow, but she's beaten me to the punch. Even though I've been granted the perfect opportunity, I can't bring myself to look her in the eye. I want to apologize and make up with her as soon as possible, assuming she's willing. But before I can, there's something I have to settle once and for all. How do I feel about Etiquette? I can't talk to Senpai until I've got a clear answer to that question.
Senpai, 俺は...
言い訳は聞きません。今こうしていること自体があなたの心情を表していますから。まったく。あれだけ言ったのに彼女のところに行くって言うんですね、遠野くんは。そんなに吸血鬼がいいんですか？はあ、もしや永遠の命とか、そんな甘い見返りを夢見ていますか？
This level of unbridled contempt is completely out of character for Senpai. The temptation of eternal life. I guess she's referring to how I get bitten by a vampire and become a dead apostle. I might be able to achieve some sort of immortality. But at the end of the day, they're no different from humans. They die if they don't eat. And it's not like they can't be killed. I've seen enough to know that all too well by now. And besides, I...
そりゃ夢には見るでしょ。誰だって死にたくないし。
Oh, why are you egging her on, bro?
はい。そうですよ。丈夫な体になれるなら、俺、ある程度のものになってもいいんです。
遠野くん、何言ってるんですか？そこは、そんなわけないだろ先輩。町のためにやってるんだぜって返すものでしょ？
もちろんです。で、あんな挑発をして、そういう反論を期待してたんですね、先輩。
I had a feeling that's what she was going for. Who knows what kind of flawless logical argument she'd have shut me down with if I'd played into her hands.
今夜だけは先輩の言うことは聞けませんから。でも、作動室でのことは反省しています。これが終わったら、話を聞いてください。
I walked past her without looking at her face. It's a pretty pathetic apology, but my top priority right now is meeting up with Etiquette.
そうですか。そこまで覚悟ができているのなら、私からは何もありません。作動室の件も気にしないでください。遠野くんは間違ったことは言っていませんでしたから。
I hear somebody's voice coming from behind me. I can't feel anything in it that suggests she's going to try and prevent me from meeting up with Etiquette. I see. I guess Senpai really has had enough of me at this point.
それじゃあ、俺、行くから。
はい。どうぞ遠野くんのお好きなようにしてください。
All I can hear is her voice. Still unable to bring myself to turn and face her, I continue to trudge away from the mansion. She's just gonna stalk me? Are you following me? The staccato sound of footsteps echoes through the darkened residential district. They aren't the heavy footsteps of a man. They sound lighter and more graceful. Moreover, my sneakers are incapable of producing that kind of sound. You need to be wearing shoes with a hard sole to make that noise. Maybe a pair of lace-up boots or something. Okay, forget maybe. The footsteps that have been following me for a while now are definitely coming from a pair of lace-up boots. I came to a sudden stop. The footsteps also shuffled to a halt. This won't do. If I just keep on walking and ignoring her, we'll arrive at the park soon. I have to take a stand right here.
ですね、先輩。
I turn around.
はい？なんでしょう？そこの健康不良少年くん。
What's up?
不良でいいですけど、先輩の家ってこっちの方だったっけ？
いえ、全く違いますね。遠野くん、一度来たことあるでしょう。忘れちゃったんですか？
覚えてます。忘れません。ちょっと確認したくなっただけです。もう上がるところは通り過ぎたなって。
はい、正解です。大した記憶力ですね。私の家への曲がり道はズバリさっき通り過ぎました。
I silently respond with a forced smile. Oh, is that so? Senpai smiles right back at me. Sure is.
それじゃあ、俺はこっちだから。
はい、どうぞ、遠野くんのお好きなように。
Senpai sends me off with a cheerful smile on her face. For some reason, I have an incredibly bad feeling about this. I take a deep breath.
どうしました？行かないんですか？
Senpai asks me a question. I take advantage of that brief window of inattention and begin to sprint down the unlit road. You're not running away from her, bro. I run through the darkened city as fast as my legs will carry me, not even pausing to steal a glance over my shoulder. I don't hear any footsteps chasing after me, but I take a short detour anyway, just in case. I didn't plan on passing by the station, but Senpai shouldn't be able to tail me if I blend in with the crowd. I'll dive into the throng to make it look like I'm headed towards the school, then double back and head for the underpass. I'm totally spent. Still, now that I've made it this far, the park is right around the corner, so I can afford to take a break. Panting heavily, I gave my body a chance to recover. Seems like my plan worked. I don't hear those nimble footsteps of hers. She must have gotten fed up and gone somewhere else instead.
感心できませんね、遠野くん。誰もいないからといって、むやみに走り出すのはどうかと思います。
Someone gives me a gentle tap on the shoulder from behind. I leap backwards like a startled frog.
なんでついてくるんだよ、先輩。
なんでも何も、遠野くん一人じゃ不安じゃないですか。遠野くんのようななんちゃって調査とは違う、真に町の平和を守る者として当然の行為ですが。
Maybe. I feel like I've just been given a splendid tongue lashing. She's holding a grudge because of the dig I took at her earlier. Still, at least it's clear what's going on now. Senpai has no intention whatsoever of leaving me alone. I don't really know how best to reply, so I'll... This choice guide, what is calmly retorts? Is that respond logically? Just in case I'll save. Respond logically. I'll try and reason with her. I can use one of the things Ciel-senpai said to my advantage.
ちょっと待って。先輩、さっき俺の好きにしていいって言ってくれましたよね。
はい、どうぞ遠野くんのお好きなようにしてください。
Senpai smiles and nods at me.
よかった。俺の幻聴ってわけじゃなかったんだな。よし。それじゃあここでお別れです。これ以上ついてきちゃダメですからね。
はあ、私、遠野くんについてきているわけではありませんけど。
It's not true.
いや、実際ついてきてるじゃないですか。
公園に用があるだけです。
Then why didn't you go the other way?
遠野くんがどこに行くのかは知りませんけど、行き先が公園でないのなら、ここでお別れですね。
I didn't see that coming. If that's the case, then I don't really have any right to complain. I mean, I don't, but...
あ、もう、それでもダメです。公園にはアルクエイドがいるんですよ。あいつ、なんでか先輩を敵視してるし、このまま合わせるわけにはいきません。
おや、私のことを心配してくれるんですか？
心配なんかするに決まってます。俺は先輩とアルクエイドが争うところなんて見たくない。お願いですから、もうこれ以上ついてこないでください。
なるほど、なるほど。そうですか。私の心配じゃなくて彼女の心配をしているんですね、と。
Senpai seems to have purposely misinterpreted my words and has turned a deaf ear to my pleas. This isn't the first time she's done this tonight. I get the feeling that Senpai is enjoying tormenting me.
先輩、もしかして茶道室のこともさっきのことも、いやそれ以前に俺がアルクエイドと夜出歩いたこと自体ずっと怒ってたんじゃないですか。
Senpai simply smiles without saying a word. Yeah, she's angry. That's the face of someone who's definitely still upset with me.
わかりました。全部俺が悪かったです。もっとちゃんと謝りたかったけど、こうなったら仕方ないです。茶道室でのことは謝りません。あれは俺の失言でした。だから
帰ってくれ。 なんて言ったら本気で怒りますよ、遠野くん。
お
え、
私たち今絶好中なんです。喧嘩してるんです。私も拗ねているみたいですから、生半可なことじゃ素直になれません。
先輩。
ここで遠野くんが帰ってくれるのなら仲直りできるんですけど、それは無理だって分かってます。ですからこんな話をしていても無意味です。あなたが私に謝る必要もありません。私昼のことは気にしていませんから。私の仕事は吸血鬼を退治すること。今はそれを忠実にこなしているだけです。
先輩。
Senpai ignores me completely and sets off down the sidewalk. The direction she's headed is, of course, towards the park where Etiquette and I are supposed to meet. Oh.
待ってください。どうしてそんなにムキになってるんですか？
私ムキになんかなっていません。あなたの方こそ私と一緒にいると彼女に誤解されるんじゃないですか？
誤解って何がですか？
あなたは彼女が好きなんでしょ？なら彼女の敵である私と一緒にいるのは立場的にまずいと思いますけど。
好き？別に俺はあいつのことが好きってわけじゃ。
Try as I might, I can't bring myself to deny that I love her. For whatever reason, I'm mesmerized by Etiquette. That's the undeniable truth.
もうほんと自分自身にも嘘をつけないんですね、遠野くんは。なんか正直すぎて参っちゃいます。
Ciel Senpai lets out a sigh comprised of equal parts exasperation and resignation. I'm not entirely sure how to interpret that sigh of hers, but at least Senpai's prickly attitude has disappeared, and she's back to being her usual self.
けど本当にここで別れた方がいいですよ。私たちは絶好中なんですし、こんなところを歩くエドに見られたら。見られたらどうなるのかしらね、シエル。
Uh-oh. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Okay. Uh-oh. It's not good. I turn to face the source of the voice. Wait. Okay. Okay. There stands a woman I do not recognize. Golden hair that shimmers in the moonlight. A beautiful body clad in white, upon which no impurities may tread. A denizen of the night, yet all the same, a maiden akin to the brilliance of daylight. But still different. Different from the Etiquette I know.
アルクエイド。
I call out Etiquette's name. The pale figure glances at me for only a moment before turning its attention to Ciel Senpai.
遠野くん、下がって。いえ、なんとか隙を見て公園の外まで逃げてください。
Senpai finishes whispering to me and steps forward. If she told me to run away before all this went down, I'd have fought back and told her she's blowing things way out of proportion. But right now, it's clear that running away is the best course of action, and equally clear that I've already lost my chance to do so. The air hangs unbearably heavy over the park. Etiquette's red eyes are fearsome. I'm speaking literally when I say that everything in this park, down to every individual leaf on every single tree, has been captivated by their gaze. This feeling of suffocation is easily as bad as what I felt when facing Vrov, if not worse. My instincts are telling me that if I make it even the slightest move, then my life is forfeit.
驚いたわ。シキの声が聞こえたから来てみれば、まさかあなたが一緒だなんてね。何をしに来たの、シエル。私に用はないと思うけど。ええ、あなたに用などありません。大事ならともかく、話をするなんて考えるだけでもおぞけが走りますから。 私は彼があんまりにも危なっかしいので指導をしてあげているだけです。どうも頭の緩い吸血鬼にたぶらかされているようなので。
Pea-brained?
指導が必要なのはそっちの体の方なんじゃない？余分な肉ばかりついて死に際のカバのよう。それともどんなに切り崩しても重さの減らない贅肉かしら。
Bro. CL, you're stupid. Etiquette, you're fat. Oh, that's funny.
そっくりそのまま返しますよ。起きて殺すことだけがあなたの美点でしょうに。人間に助けを求めるなんてそんな余分はらしくありません。神祖の誇りとやらをどこかに落としたのですか？まあそんなもの実際あったかどうか疑問ですけど。
That's weird. I feel like it's gotten just a tiny bit easier to breathe. Is it because the pressure that was enveloping the whole park has now been focused solely on CL-senpai? Actually, forget that for a second. Is it just me, or are these two surprisingly similar to each other? It's like they're on the same wavelength or something.
つくづく勘に触る女ね。一度やられたぐらいじゃ物足りないってこと？
あなたこそ手も足も出ずに地に落とされた恐怖がまだ拭えていないんじゃないですか？
言ったわね、キャンズ。何よ、人のパートナーを横取りするつもり？
ええ、状況次第では彼が私を頼ってくれるのなら今す。
This is an explosive situation if I ever saw one. The suffocating atmosphere may have receded, but I can't just keep watching from the sidelines like this. They're both adults, so I'm sure they won't start throwing punches or anything, but as the middleman, I feel it's my duty to try and defuse the situation.
待ってくれ、二人とも。なんか空気が不穏だ。耐えられない。というか落ち着け。お互い目的は同じなんだろう。ならここは仲良く。
遠野くんは黙っててください。
So much for that. My attempt at mediating has backfired horribly. I've only added more fuel to the fire of their animosity.
真似しないでよ。式に呼びかけるのは私だけの特権なんですけど。
呼びかける？今のはせいぜい同活の間違いでしょう。鏡を見たことがないんですね。ああ、
They're so
吸
sassy.
血鬼だから鏡に映らないんでしたっけ？
どこの迷信よ。鏡にぐらいちゃんと映るわ、私。
おや、そうでしたか。それは失礼。使徒ですら自分の姿を恥じて姿を映さないというのに大した厚顔っぷりです。さすがは吸血鬼の大元、感服しました。
ねえ、もしかして挑発しているの？あなた。
まさかこれは挑発ではなく糾弾ですよ。自分が何であるかを理解しない愚か者に現実を教えてあげているだけです。
The smile plastered across her face was dazzling, yet terrifying. A paralyzing numbness creeps into my fingers. The hairs all over my body stand on end. With Etiquette's sigh, the icy threat of death settled over the park. Even in the face of that smile, Senpai refuses to back down.
いいわ。私からも最初で最後の勧告よ。シキはあなたのことがそれなりに大事らしいから、今回だけは見逃してあげる。また殺される前に今すぐここから消え去りなさい。
驚きましたね。吸血鬼が人間の機嫌を伺うなんて。あなたなら人間なんて思い通りに操れる。彼に協力させるならしもべにしてしまえばいいのに、なぜ魅了しないのですか、ハルクエイド。
あなたらしい品位に欠けた発想ね。シキは私のパートナーよ。そんなことをしなくても私の手助けをしてくれるって言ってくれた。私を殺せる時でも私のそばにいてくれた。
私が一人でいる時も四季に会えると思うだけで時間は瞬く間に過ぎていった。当然でしょ。だって四季は私の運命の人なんだから。
Oh. Wait. I'm her what? What's that supposed to mean? Uh-oh. I can feel the sting of Senpai's silent reproach. It's clear from the look in her eyes that she demands an explanation. I'd love one too, to be perfectly honest. I really don't have any idea what she's talking about.
ふざけてるんですか、あなたは。何を言い出すかと思えば、よりにもよってオムファタルなんて。ふざけてなんかいないわ。四季の心も体も、彼がこれから得る喜びも悲しみも死に伏せる権利さえ私のもの。ええ、使徒の気持ちが少しだけ理解できたわ。人間の血を飲みたいとは思わないけど、四季の命は私以外の誰にも渡さない。
ちょっと待て。
The words that make it out of my mouth are little more than a whisper. I don't know what kind of history they have with each other, and with the two of them at each other's throats like this, it's clear the situation is well and truly out of my hands. Despite that, I can't let those words she just spoke slide. She can understand how dead apostles feel. There's no way she thinks that. We may have only known each other for a short while, but I can guarantee that she doesn't, because if she did, it'd be like affirming she's a vampire.
あるけど、あなたまさか。さあ、どうかしら。あなたから私はどう見えるの、シエル。吸血衝動に飲み込まれて打点したように見える？いいえ、心素が落ちたのならとっくに世界は裏返っています。あなたはまだ狂っても落ちてもいない。つまり今の段階ならまだ間に合うということです。ええ、その通りよ、シエル。これは吸血衝動とは違う。だって楽しいわ。すごく胸が弾んでいるの。まるで春の野原のよう。以前あなたは私を愚かだと言ったわね。ロアに騙された世間知らずだって。本当にそう。四季に殺されるまでの私は本当に愚かだった。自由になることが、自由に手足を動かせることが、自由に人間を好きになることが、だから今の私はあなた以上に人間的よ。例えばこんな風に自分の気持ちを表現できる。
Etiquette sinks her teeth into her own index finger, as though daintily as though daintily wow, why am I saying nibbling? As though daintily nibbling a strawberry. A red trickle spills from her white finger. The tiniest drop of blood slowly dripples down and falls to the stone pavement. That single drop splashes audibly against the ground. The instant it does, it transforms into a reflective pool that coats the whole plaza. Is this an illusion? No. The entire park really has been inundated with her blood. The fact that I'm up to my ankles in it is proof enough of that.
安心して。一滴だけだから。これから楽しい時間になるのに、ここは色が薄すぎて。せめてこれぐらいはしないと趣がないでしょ。
She's giving off an incredibly intimidating aura, but I don't sense any malice in her words. Etiquette hasn't changed. This idiotically innocent woman is the same cheerful ray of sunshine I know. But something isn't right. What should have been nothing more than a trifling mistake has instead transformed her into a different being entirely.
自由に思うままに行動するというのですね。あなたが何の制約もなく思うままにロアを処罰すると、その結果がどうなるか理解していますか？ 自らを縛らない神祖は使徒と変わらない。グローブのようにこの町を蹂躙するのが望みだとでも。分かりきったことを聞かないでしょう。人間の町に関心はないの？邪魔をしなければ何もしない。こんなの道端の石と同じよ。ああ、でもそっか。好きになるのも自由なら憎んでみるのも自由よね。ロアに汚染された町、ロアの痕跡を残すたち、どちらにせよ汚らしいし、きれいに掃除していくのも私の自由。それにここで思いっきり今までずっと気に食わなかった女を八つ咲きにするのも心底楽しそうじゃない？
Okay, we're doing this then. The battle begins faster than I can even blink. The avatar in white kicks the ground, propelling herself into the air. As though anticipating her move, a hail of swords comes raining down on her. The battle between the two figures commences before I can so much as try to stop it. Ciel leaps to the side, issuing a warning over her shoulder to Shiki as she does. White claws rip into the space where she once stood. Etiquette closed the gap between them with a single stride, raised her arm high in the air and then swung it down with the full force of her body behind it. The avatar in white calls out to her sworn enemy in a voice brimming with elation. Perhaps the thrill of the unfolding battle prevailed over the shame of having her onslaught avoided. Ciel is too busy running through possible outcomes in her head to pay any attention to Etiquette's voice. It's clear that this is already a worst-case scenario. Her foe is a true ancestor, a crazed and uninhibited one at that. Their battleground is right in the heart of the city, and the only weapon she has at her disposal are her black keys. If she wants to engage Etiquette while protecting the innocent bystanders, in this case Shiki, then there's only one thing left to do. She needs to stay on the defensive, be on the lookout for an ebb in the flow of Etiquette's power, and take advantage of that opening by throwing up the largest barrier she can muster, and retreating with Shiki in tow. It's a simple tactic. Even so, Ciel knows just how difficult it will be to pull off. Not on a simply theoretical level, but from her own painful lived experience. Her pursuer is bearing down on her at a breakneck speed. I need water. Okay. She hurls a throwing blade in front of her to try and skewer Etiquette's torso. These blades are known as black keys, tools of Inquisition reserved exclusively for executors. When inactive, they consist of nothing more than a handle, but by administrating a sacrament, their blade can be revealed, allowing them to function as a sword. Though they look like swords, black keys are used more for thrusting and throwing. In other words, they aren't used to slash at vampires so much as shoot at them from a distance like bullets. If Executor Ciel is precise with how she uses them, they can pack the same punch as a cannonball. She has preternatural control over her body. Each throw is accurate down to the millimeter, with every motion flowing seamlessly into the next. By gathering all of her power and focusing it on a single point, she's capable of amplifying the Black Key's might tenfold. She hasn't achieved this through magecraft or sacraments, but by elevating the movement of her body to an art form. The pinnacle of human potential, frantically refined over the course of untold centuries. An iron blow that could blast right through even a concrete wall. The burial agency refers to it as the plating effect. However, even that is torn to shreds by a single swing of Etiquette's claws. That's a lot. Every single one of the Black Keys loose at Etiquette has been plated. weathering the storm of blades as if it were nothing more than a stiff breeze. The vampire closes in on the executor with a smile on her face. Etiquette has effortlessly reduced the distance Ciel put between them to nothing. Her claws come raking down through the air. Ciel manages to use one of her black keys as a shield, but it shatters on impact, sending shockwaves rippling through her arm and into her ribs. Instead of trying to hold her ground, she leaps away, allowing the momentum of the strike to carry her backwards. The handles of another 6 black keys appear in front of her. Oh, appear in her hands. In the blink of an eye, she widens the gap between them to 10 meters and lets off another volley.
私が言うのもなんだけど、そんな年代ものいつまで使ってるのよ、あなたたちは。ほら、もっとこう面白そうな。
Just as Etiquette said, the black keys are a dated weapon with close to 1700 years of history behind them. There aren't many executors who choose to use them these days, on account of how difficult they are to wield, and their inferiority when compared to modern weapons. Though they're only inferior in the hands of an ordinary executor. Mock not the weapons of yore. In the 1,000-year-long history of the Black Key, all manner of specialized versions have been developed. This is one such variant, the cremation rite. A wall of flame that burns at 500 degrees Celsius, capable of reducing any foul living corpse to ashes. Of course, such flames would never be enough to stop this vampire. They're nothing more than a smokescreen. Ciel's true aim here is ultimately to restrain her. A direct assault with black keys wouldn't be effective, but there's a chance for Ciel to come out ahead by blinding her with a barrier. The black keys raining down on Etiquette is swept away. Oh, nice! Ciel's barrier is a pseudo-temple constructed around the black keys she has driven to the ground. While the barrier is strong enough to form a wall against Etiquette, Ciel still needs to trap her inside those walls if they're to have any effect. The avatar in white snakes through the descending onslaught of blades like a majestic beast racing through the wilderness and pounces at the executor. Ciel takes the brunt of Etiquette's assault head-on. She was more than capable of dodging it, but under these conditions she couldn't make that choice. She's already been driven back to the edge of the park. Retreating any further would mean bringing the fight to the city proper. Ciel raises her physical defenses in order to withstand the fierce assault. Her muscles are straining, fit to burst, in order to strike a decisive blow. She tightly winds up her body like a spring. Then, as she spits out an incendiary expletive, she spins around, funneling all her momentum into a roundhouse kick that lands squarely on Etiquette's chest. The pale figure is sent flying backwards. 3 keys hurtling after it deliver the finishing blow. Yep.
あなたに聖堂は過ぎたものです。そのタワーリングで緩んだ頭を冷やしなさい。
The Tower of Imprisonment. As an anti-true ancestor, no. An anti-Etiquette confinement barrier devised by Executor Ciel. It's impossible to fence in Etiquette but just by driving some black keys into the ground and trying to surround her with a wall. To snare a fleet-footed quarry like her, you must corner her in all 3 dimensions. One way of doing it would be to utilize the towering walls of the temple as a foundation to create an even stronger barrier, and gain complete control of the horizontal and vertical axes at the same time. Though it is incapable of harming its target, it is so strong that nothing alive could even think of destroying it. After all, that Tower of Light is about to be as durable as the what? The Strasbourg Cathedral, the very building this sacrament was modeled on. Renowned for having the tallest spires of the Middle Ages, it's a 140-meter tall behemoth built of solid stone and prayer, capable of containing even the most rampant vampire.
魔術は使わないんじゃなかったの？あの嘘くさい心情はどこに行った？
あなたとロアにしか使わないだけです。諦めなさいアルクエイド。それは27素であっても一時的に封じ得る強度を持ちます。神素であっても容易には砕けません。
加えて何？やっぱりあの武器を持ってくるの？
聖典を持ち出す必要はありません。ことはすでに終わっていますから。
The countless pillars thrust into the ground link up. The lines between them form layers upon layers of walls, all of which coalesce to form a single box.
グローブの時だ。
それはゴチックフォート。ある祖から奪い取った原理を用いた結界です。本来は外界との遮断に用いますが、使い方によっては最大の武器にもなる。ところでアルクエイド、魔術世界における生命の質量定義は知っていますね。生命そのものが持つエネルギー生産量、もしくは質量を段階として定義したものです。その基準はシンプルで、大きさと重さとで測られます。一番強いものが小さくて重いもの、2番目に強いものが大きくて重いもの、3番目が小さくて軽いもの、そして最後に大きくて軽いもの。これは情報や噂話、幽霊といった広範囲に広がるものです。
あなた、
私の大聖堂は最大直径 30km の隔絶空間。生命ではありませんが大きくて重いものです。これを極限まで圧縮すればどうなるか試してみるのも一興だと思いませんか？いくら凶暴なあなたでも抜け出すにはそれなりの時間が必要になる。少なくとも1時間は超高密度の監獄を味わってもらいましょう。イデアブラッド22番クロムクレイペタストラクチャー。
The executor raises her arm. She completes the construction of the Cathedral of Light and compresses the space as though slamming down the lid of a treasure chest. Or rather, she tried to. Oh! Oh! An invisible blow, together with a raging torrent of blue, sent Ciel flying backwards. The tower that had bound Etiquette has been ruthlessly obliterated, and the pillars of light dotted across the ground have all been swept away.
何よそれ。閉じ込めるとか封じ込めるとか周りを守ることばっかり。これは私との遊びでしょ。ならもっと本気になりなさいよね。
Etiquette starts walking towards her nemesis, as if intent on stamping out the source of her frustrations. The vampire disparaged Ciel and demanded she stop holding back, except she's misunderstood completely. The executor wasn't holding back. She'd literally given it everything she had, though sadly her currently limited arsenal meant that she wasn't as much as she might have hoped. Besides, in fighting a true ancestor, or more specifically Etiquette, the only option is to take the defensive, due to a peculiarity of hers. Fighting her aggressively will only ever lead to the attacker's death. In order to actually stand a chance against Etiquette, a weapon that can kill her with a single strike is required. That's what Ciel believes, at any rate. Right now, she doesn't possess such a weapon. On top of that, her foe's behavior is staggeringly unusual. All that awaits her now is torture, followed by death. Even with this fate staring her in the eye, it isn't the fear of death that fills her heart. A single strike she took was enough for most of her organs to start shutting down. Even as the excruciating pain threatens to knock her unconscious, the executor continues to stare at the approaching vampiress.
信じられない。あのバカ。本当に自分の感情で力を使っていませんか?
To Ciel, who has exterminated countless dead apostles, and even vanquished Rove, that is the most unthinkable outcome of all. One she desperately wishes were nothing more than a bad dream. Senpai calls out to me even as she's busy avoiding Etiquette's tempestuous charge. She leapt back towards one of the corners of the park. It's clear she's trying to build some distance to let me escape. Their battle defies human comprehension. My eyes can't even keep up with Etiquette's movements. All I see is a white afterimage streaking through the darkness. Ciel Senpai continues fending off Etiquette's ferocious assault. Senpai and Etiquette are, in all respects, polar opposites of each other. Etiquette is a total maverick, while Senpai deals with things methodically, with no wasted movement. She keeps her distance, throwing blades at Etiquette from afar, only hunkering down to stand her ground whenever Etiquette gets too close. Their combat abilities are evenly matched. The wild and free Etiquette versus the stoic and pragmatic Ciel Senpai. Despite that, Senpai is at a disadvantage in this battle. She can't act as freely because she's trying to keep collateral damage to a minimum. But more importantly, Etiquette isn't showing any signs of fatigue. In fact, it's almost like she doesn't have any limits at all. However masterful Senpai's abilities may be, they aren't getting any stronger than they already are. Etiquette's fervor, on the other hand, continues to increase with no end in sight. If this keeps up, she's going to overwhelm Senpai's defenses any sec. My terrible premonition has become a reality. The battle is over. The wall of light that bound Etiquette has been shattered, and as it fell, Ciel Senpai was knocked back, struck by some invisible blow. Senpai's body sails through the air before crashing to the ground like a discarded sack of garbage. Senpai stands up, gritting her teeth against the agonizing pain. Her show of resistance is futile. The invisible object strikes her again, sending her flying even higher into the air before she comes crashing back down to the ground. The crunching of flesh and bone can be plainly heard. Her red blood begins to slowly spread across the brickwork pavement of the park. And yet, Senpai is somehow still conscious. She forces her mangled body to stand, attempting to confront the enemy before her. Etiquette nonchalantly approaches Senpai, blue sparks crackling across her body. Her red eyes are fixated squarely on Senpai's neck. I can't speak. Of course I can't. I can't think rationally. But so what if I can't? Etiquette's going to kill Senpai in cold blood. That's one thing I'll never allow. I'm not going to just sit back and watch this insanity unfold. I run like a bat out of hell. I plant myself between the two of them and take up a protective stance in front of Senpai.
Shiki?
The sparks flickering around Etiquette disappear in the blink of an eye. She's back to her usual self. Is she really that shocked to see me protecting Senpai?
なんで? どうしてシキがそいつをかばうの?
なんでも何もない。言っただろ。先輩は俺にとって大事な人だ。いくらお前でもこれ以上先輩に手を挙げたら許さないからな。
I glare at Etiquette, my hand gripped tight around that knife in my pocket.
そう。そいつと仲良くなってたらどうなるかって私も言ったはずだけど。
There's a bloodthirsty look in Etiquette's eyes.
どいて。今ならまだ許してあげる。早く、そんな奴をかばうのはやめて。私にそのナイフを向けないで。
Her red eyes flicker like the flame of a candle. Her bloodlust is being redirected away from Senpai onto me. My throat dries up immediately, and my mouth feels like sandpaper. My instincts are screaming at me that if I don't back down now, I'll be past the point of no return. But even so...
ダメだ。お前が先輩に手を挙げないと言うまでどかない。
聞きたくない。どいて式。
お前こそ引けアルクエイド。お前は俺に言ったじゃないか。人間は殺さないって。それともあれは俺を安心させるための嘘だっていうのか。
ええ、私は人間は殺さない。けど人間の規格を大きく外れた命には敬意を表してる。だから対等の存在として殺すことも厭わない。例えばあなたよ、そこの女みたいな相手にはね。
One step forward. Etiquette draws nearer. I somehow manage to stand my ground, despite wanting nothing more than to turn tail and flee.
そう。あなたはまた私にナイフを向けるんだ。
Another step. Etiquette nonchalantly closes in on me.
一度目は許した。けれど二度目を許せる自信はないわ。もっとも、あの時の再現はありえないけど、いくらあなたの直視の目でも、今の私から死を読み取ることはできないでしょう。
We're face to face now. Her golden eyes dig deep into my own. The tension is so intense that it feels like not just my heart, but every cell in my body has come to a screeching halt. Like my spine is being ripped clean out of my back. As if my organs are being shredded from within. It's an utterly overwhelming feeling of despair. As though every other creature in creation has gathered around to glower at me. What I felt facing Vrov was absolutely nothing in comparison. I can't do anything. This is what it means to have Etiquette as my enemy. Our inborn nature is, and always has been, irreconcilably different. Attacking her head-on would be worse than... Attacking her head-on would be worse than useless. If I want to save Senpai, if I want both of us to make it out of here alive, I have no choice but to stop her with words. I'll respond by saying... If you go any further, I won't like you anymore. Wait, I should have saved. Fuck. Is that really a good idea? I'll definitely get across exactly how I'm feeling, but what would that even...
待て、アルクエイド。いいのか？本当にいいのか？
言ってることがわからない。いいのかってな。
Okay, here goes.
それ以上進んだらお前のこと嫌いになるからな。
I can't believe it. She really stopped.
ダメ。逃げて遠のく。
先輩。
What happened in the blink of an eye? Despite being so injured, she couldn't even stand a second ago. Senpai has placed herself between Etiquette and me.
生命力だけはさすがね。でもそれでどうするの？さっきの大魔術で魔力は空っぽのくせに。今のあなたじゃ式の盾にもならない。式が無茶をしている間に逃げればよかったのに。あなたこそ、そんな気もないくせに笑わせないでください。私が背中を見せれば、喜んでとどめを刺す気だったでしょう。でも、おあいにくさまでしたね。私はまだ、 戦えます。だって彼を、無関係な人々を守るのは私の役目なんですから。
先輩。
She can't even breathe properly. Her habit is soaked with her own blood, but she's still putting on a brave face and fiercely trying to protect me.
あなたも下がってください。ここは私が。
あ、もう下がるのは先輩の方だ。いいから休んでろ。ここは俺が何とかするから。でもありがとう。大好きです先輩。
I swiftly move in front of her. I feel like I'm invincible right now. Even if Etiquette flies off the handle again, I won't yield. Why is that? Because I'm doing something so stupid that even I'm starting to doubt my own sanity.
待ってください。無理ですから。遠野くんじゃアルクエイドに殺されちゃいます。ここを何とかするのは私の方ですよ。
そんな傷で何言ってるんですか。いいから下がって。ほら、ここで意地を張るのは俺の役目です。たまには先輩を守らせてください。
守るってでも。
I grab Senpai's shoulders while she grabs mine, and then we start taking turns moving each other out of the way. After a couple of revolutions, I start to forget why we're doing this, and it feels more like we're dancing. It's kind of fun. But a certain someone is watching us and trembling in anger.
何よバカ。もういい。好きなんて知らない。
え？
そんなにシエルが大事なら勝手にすれば。私もう助けてあげないから。
アルクエイド。
いい、私帰る。言っておくけど、その女はあなたが思っているような真っ当な人間じゃないから。利用されて絞り取られて薄皮一枚にまでなればいいわ。
Etiquette finishes her outburst and turns away in a huff.
なんだよそれ。お前だってさっき物騒なこと言ってたじゃないか。俺を自分のものにするとかなんとか。
私は隠し事はしないもん。シキが好きって言っただけよ。じゃあね、後で私に泣きついても聞いてあげないから。
Okay.
せいぜい血を吸われないよう気をつけることね。
Etiquette soars out of the park, like some sort of indignant shooting star. My mind can't keep up with all these absurd developments. Even after Etiquette has vanished into the night, Senpai and I keep staring up at it in blank astonishment.
星になってしまいましたね。
星というよりロケットっぽかったですけど。
We quietly exchange our impression of Etiquette's launch.
そうじゃなくて、なんて無茶をするんですか、遠野くんは。神祖と戦おうとするなんて自殺願望にも程があります。
Senpai grabs me by the shoulder and begins scolding me. She's absolutely right. I have nothing to say in my defense.
そうでしたね。今でも背中すげえ冷たいです。あいつやるときは本当用じゃないから。先輩が割って入ってくれなかったら首が飛んでました。
そこまで分かっていてどうして。
だって先輩を放っておけないし。改めてありがとうございます先輩。俺のために戦ってくれたのぐらいわかります。
はい。お礼を言うなら私もでした。遠野くんがいなかったらどうなっていたかわからなかったです。
Senpai replied with her eyes fixed to the floor. I don't know why, but I'm at a loss for words. Before I know it, our bodies are so close that they're almost touching, and Senpai's faint warmth is making me all jittery.
先ほどは意地を張ってごめんなさい。遠野くんを困らせるつもりじゃなかったんです。
さっきのってアルクエイドのこと？
そうじゃなくて、お屋敷から公園までのこととか。 昼間の茶道室のこととか。
No, that's something I should be apologizing for. Though, if I said that out loud, it'd probably only make her feel even worse. If Senpai wants to apologize, the best thing I can do is let her. Plus, if this gives me a chance to patch things up with Senpai, then I couldn't be happier.
そうですね。じゃあ喧嘩両成敗ってことで仲直りしてください。明日になったら先輩に無視されるとか考えるだけで怖いですから。
そうですか。そんなことでいいなら喜んで。
Senpai spends a moment fidgeting in embarrassment before putting her glasses back on, having pulled them out from who knows where.
それより先輩、体は大丈夫ですか?
You take a step backwards to get a clearer view of Senpai's body. She was gushing blood all over the place just a few minutes ago. I need to treat her wounds immediately or else... The bloodstains have disappeared. Not only has the pool of blood on the floor vanished without a trace, but there isn't much as a red tint to be found anywhere on her clothes.
遠野くん、これは。
そっか。先輩はあれぐらいの傷なんともないんでしたっけ？ブローブの時なんてもっと深い傷を受けてたし、並大抵のことならあいつみたいに。
I'm such a fool. Now that the threat of death is gone, I let myself get careless. Because of that, I inadvertently touched on an inconvenient truth that I'd been unconsciously trying to avoid. It's like she's a vampire after all. She's a perfect immortal. She's not the prim and proper human you think she is. You better watch out in case she tries to suck your blood. I banished those haunting words to the deepest recesses of my mind. Nevertheless, the fact that I've gone silent speaks volumes.
いや、でもあれだよな。ハルクイドのやつもデタラメなことばっかり言うよな。先輩が俺の血を吸うなんて、そんなこと絶対にありえないのに。
Right. Not in a million years. I mean, come on. Senpai can walk around in broad daylight. Okay, sure, Etiquette can too, but even she's weaker during the day. Senpai is just as strong during the day as she is at night. Besides, she's a member of the church. It would be contradictory for an organization that exterminates vampires to harbor vampires in its midst.
取り繕わないでいいです。私の体のこと、ノエル先生から聞いたんですね。
I can't bring myself to admit it. Not because I'm trying to avoid hurting Ciel Senpai, but for purely selfish reasons. I just don't want to face that reality.
ノエル先生のおかげで目が覚めました。質問の続きです。遠野くん、どうして私をかばったんですか？アルクエドが本気であなたを殺すつもりだったのは分かっていたはずなのに。
There isn't even a speck of emotion in Senpai's eyes. They're the hollow, lifeless eyes of a doll. It's like they don't even see me.
どうしてって、さっきも言ったでしょ。先輩が殺されかけたんです。誰だってかばいます。
自分が殺されるというのに、献身とは自分の命を投げ出すことではありません。自分の命をないがしろにして他者の命を救おうというのは、献身でも犠牲でもなく、ただの自己愛です。あなたはただ自分が後悔したくなかっただけ。それだけであんな真似をして満足しています。はっきり言ってすごく迷惑です。正しく生きようとするのは立派ですが、あなたの身勝手な正しさに私を巻き込まないでください。
それは。
I can't argue with her assessment. She's right. I didn't think it through. I was so preoccupied with wanting to save her that I didn't spare a thought towards how to save her, or how to deal with Etiquette. I switched off my brain and acted in whatever way served my own interests. If that warrants being called narcissistic, then so be it. However,
それでも先輩を守りたかったんです。それが迷惑だって言うんですか？先輩はあのままアルクエイドに殺されていてもよかったって。
はい、 私の命なんですから。あなたにどうこう言われるものではないはずです。いえ、死んだ方がまだマシでした。吸血鬼にお情けで見逃されて生き延びるなんて無様すぎます。
Disgraceful. I wish she had killed me. That's a fucked up thing to say under any circumstances.
自分の命を何だと思ってるんですか、先輩は。死んだらそれまでなんですよ。どんなにひどくて、どんなにみっともないことをしてでも、生きていられるのなら生きるべきです。だって生きていなくちゃ何もないじゃないですか。無様だから何だって言うんです。どんなに情けなくても、何もなくなるよりずっとずっと何倍もいい。俺は先輩を守りたかった。死んでほしくなかった。先輩と一緒にまた茶道室にいたかったんです。
I know that I should be trying to calm down, but my emotions have burst their banks and are all rushing out at once. Even though we just managed to make up, here I am yelling at Senpai again.
そうでしたね。あなたは7年前に一度死にかけた人でした。幸せな人。そんな言葉、私には言えません。
Senpai draws away, her eyes still hollow and lifeless. We're close enough that I could reach out and touch her if I tried, but she feels so incredibly far away.
アルクエイドが言っていたことは本当です。彼女の言う通り、私は人間とは呼べません。遠野くんも見たでしょ。さっきまであんなにこぼれていた血が、まるでなかったことのように消え去っているのを。
それは。
いいんです。私、化け物なんです。私は吸血種ではありませんが、普通の人間らしい体ではないのも事実ですから。
何言ってるんですか、先輩。人間らしい体って先輩は十分普通じゃないか。
これでもですか。
え？
先輩。
I don't even get a chance to stop her. She uses one of her own blades to slice through her neck. I hear a dull crunch as the blade rips through her flesh and arteries. Splash. The eruption of vibrant crimson seeps into my eyeballs. It spurts out like a fountain. Its iron tang tantamount to the smell of life itself. A dazzling flood of pure red. It's beautiful. Her fresh blood is all I can see or think about as it pours down and stains her dark habit. And I'm sure that beneath her habit, red blood is trickling down her naked body, coiling itself around her like a serpent, its hue intensifying all the while. A drop of blood flecks my fingers. At that, my enthralled mind snaps back to reality. Before me stands Senpai drenched in blood.
Senpai!
I rush over to her, wiping the blood from my fingers.
慌てる必要はありません。ほら、見てください。
She removes the blade from the base of her pale neck. The wound is already closed. As if that wasn't enough, all the blood she had just shed has disappeared completely. This equals... No. Surpasses Vto's ability to regenerate. An utterly unnatural spectacle that transcends the notion of healing altogether. I'm speechless. I have no idea what I should say to Senpai after bearing witness to such a phenomenon.
はい、この通りです。できることなら、遠野くんには知られたくなかったですけど。
Senpai gives me a forlorn smile. Even when confronted by that smile, I still can't find the right words to say to her right now.
だから、昼間のことは謝らなくていいんです。全部正しかったんですから。私はあなたのことを騙していました。 あんな風に怒られてもそれは仕方のないことなんです。
そんなことは。
I cannot bring myself to finish that sentence. It doesn't matter to me what kind of person Senpai is, or what kind of body she has. It wouldn't even matter if she was actually a vampire. Something like that would never be enough to change the fact that I care deeply for her.
本当はもっと距離を取る予定だったんです。ただの顔見知りとかそれぐらいの。そうすればあなたの方から話しかけてくることも、こんな風に嫌われることもなかった。けどいいんです。今までのことを後悔はしていません。遠野くんが私との思い出が楽しかったって、守りたかったと言ってくれて嬉しかった。
先輩。
I mean, I said that for a reason. The time we spent together was so peaceful and calm that I really did wish it could go on forever.
さようなら。
Senpai vanished into the night, her familiar smile on her face all the way to the end. She really is the polar opposite of Etiquette. Etiquette soared away like a shooting star, but Senpai left no such trail behind her as she disappeared into the night. My head is reeling from everything that just happened. I don't even know how I'd go about chasing after Senpai. Etiquette said that Senpai was a vampire, and Senpai didn't even deny it. On the contrary, she left me with almost undeniable proof before she disappeared. Wish she just lied. Even a blatant lie would have been fine. I would have been content if she simply said that it wasn't true. Farewell. It's obvious what she meant by that. Even though I knew about her true identity, even though I'd heard her before, Senpai still came to see me. Now that too is over. She said it abruptly, without fanfare, but I lost everything the moment that word left her lips. Can't think straight. What did I lose? What is it that's causing me so much anguish? The story about a girl I heard from Noelle? Etiquette's accusations? The wound on her neck that proved them right? Or was it something else? It hurts. Self-loathing clogs my lungs like mud. I feel like I'm gonna be sick. I am beset by the strange sense that plants are sprouting inside my brain. It hurts so much that I can't even think. I don't want to dwell on the bitter truth that I'll never see Senpai ever again. With clouded thoughts and unsteady footsteps, I too leave the park. Ooh. So tired. My budding headache has sprouted into a thicket of thorns. My wooden brain creaks and groans as I constrain it. I flop lifelessly onto the bed. An ominous darkness creeps up on me from behind. The faces that appear in my mind are the same ones I saw this morning. I use my last remaining ounce of consciousness to close my eyes. I don't want to think anymore right now. Just sleep like a statue. Recently, I've been dreaming of my former self. They say humans reminisce more and more as they grow older. It seems I'm no exception. Oh. So, is Shiki gonna be the next Vrov? Not Vrov, Roa. Because Etiquette did kill Roa. And after he dies, he starts invading a body, and that's when stuff started happening. I had my suspicions. We'll see what happens. Techniques I will use hereafter, and those that I will not. Things that I will need, and those I will not. My present self, and my future self. In order to organize all this, I leave old things behind in my workshop, as though writing a memoir that will never be read. For all humans discard their past selves. I'm currently on the verge of death. To be more precise, I have about a week left to live. But yeah, all this going back to Roa's ancestors through the books and all these flashbacks, there's no way that something's not happening with this. The Avatar in White will soon arrive. When she does, my current life will end. I have no strong feelings about this fact. Humans die. This is the one fate which cannot be avoided. If there's one thing I do fear, it's the feeling I experience as I wake, the sensation of crawling out of an unending darkness. No matter how many times I experience it, it remains the sole discomfort I can never get used to. As I wallow in the past, I also plot a course for the future. This me has been a failure. The body I was born into was weak, and so I ended up distracted by research into how to prolong its lifespan. While that did bear some fruit in the agelessness, I came across the overall result was a failure. As suspected, the physical body cannot be endowed with eternal youth. Where shall I focus my attention next? I've left a great number of research topics half finished. The agelessness I investigated this time proved to be more akin to retrogression. Perhaps even outright deterioration. Perhaps my next topic should be succession instead. By blending the genes of two fit genetic contributors, humans give birth to children bearing yet fitter features. Could this not be performed more directly and efficiently? Take, for example, dead apostles. They can impart their underlings with undeath, but they cannot pass on their own abilities. No, dead apostles cannot pass on anything. They are deprived of their reproductive capacity by their nature. Although they are no strangers to lust and sexual desire, they cannot birth children, since they have obtained unnaturally long lifespans. As individual specimens, they have lost the necessity for any reproductive function. In Dead Apostle Society, families used to indicate one's carefully acquired underlings. Those that Dead Apostles of rank 6 and above treat as their sons or daughters were once humans, adopted for their talents and later turned into Dead Apostles when the time was right. There are clans that are related by blood in the real sense, but that's only because they were related back when they were still alive. One such example is Lord Rosean, a man who became a vampire together with his beloved daughters. He represents the last hope for aristocratic rule. His faction is said to be the largest within Dead Apostle Society, and his successes together with his comfortable lifestyle are enough to make even his fellow ancestors envious. Yet despite that, Lord Rosean's greatest source of distress is that he will never be able to see the faces of his grandchildren. that apostles cannot give birth to children, that apostles cannot pass on their abilities, they cannot propagate their own genes. They are beings who possess a fatal flaw. This is the biggest reason as to why they, or otherwise so superior to humans, do not count as paragons. In short, dead apostles cannot give birth, or cannot birth dead apostle children. The dead apostle curse, which, in the case of an ancestor, can oppose even the world itself, disappears if the individuals possessing it perishes. And that is far from perfect. As such, it is a problem I ought to tackle. My next topic is decided. I shall develop the ability to succeed the curses possessed by the 27 dead apostle ancestors. Naturally, principles are one of a kind. They cannot be imitated, and duplicating them would only serve to weaken them by destroying that uniqueness. This is why succession is the only answer. I shall devise a technique to make the whole principle one's own, to detune it and reconfigure it for one's own use. 15. A succession of all curses and dues and their usage. Alternatively, the forced transfer of one's own abilities and fortuity. I label the effectiveness... Oh wait, not effectiveness. Efficiencies? The efficiencies of my next self. To kill, to steal, to misappropriate. Yes, murder shall serve as its foundation. In human terms, this can be thought of in terms of an inheritance. Putting it into words is quite tasteless. But whatever form an inheritance may take, it still necessitates the death of its previous owner. Expressing it as an inheritance really is quite appropriate. I do say so myself. There is little joy to be found in receiving an inheritance from one's parents. The majority of them tend to be up to their ears in debt. My next self be in possession of a body strong enough to bear such dues. Oh, the stars are falling. The avatar in white has departed. My torso is gone. My limbs have turned to ash. All that remains of me is my brain. And in a few seconds, it too will be nothing but cinders. Teetering on the precipice of death, I once again seek myself a question. Are you not afraid? Naturally, I am not. I am merely regretful. I sought perfection. An old friend who had remained with the church once asked what perfection meant to me. To them, perfection had been a word used to represent the omnipotent and omniscient Father. Of course it would. Such was the doctrine we followed. The church had fabricated permanence, and by propagating it, proved its omnipotence. Omnipotence. Even though they know that the world keeps expanding, they still insist that the universe is permanently fixed. But that's wrong. Completely wrong. Such permanence is woefully outdated. Those who advance our knowledge and awareness will always be humans living in the present. What value is there in omnipotence of the past? Perfection cannot be something that exists. It has to be a place for us to reach. Humanity's destination, humanity's conclusion, the meaning of my soul, the answer to what it is we must accomplish. I want to arrive at that conclusion. That is the state of true permanence, one unto which nothing can be added, and from which nothing can be taken away. Ergo, the sole thing upon this earth that could be referred to as an eternal. The vampires know as the ancestors seek eternity itself. I, however, seek the means of reaching eternity. It's only natural that they hold my heresy in contempt. We are, after all, fundamentally different beings. My voyage is not misguided. This I know. Even if my methods themselves may be. Yet those words are nothing but a scream into the void. The theologian I had been died when I reached the castle surrounded by the flowers of the planet in full bloom. Eternity was already there. Nay, something I wanted to retain for eternity was there. It doesn't matter how many times I depart this world. The hatred and joy I feel each time is still strong enough to tear me to shreds. Back then, I weighed knowing all of the world against knowing her. In that instant, the theologian within me died. So take heed, my friend, and carve this warning deep into your soul. There is no greater sin than turning a human's gaze upon the luminary of the planet. Once everything has come and gone, you will surely understand what it is that you have fallen in love with. Save progress? Why was it black? What? No, you're not dreaming, because we're ramping it up. Okay, we're still on CL route. Okay, that's good. I put my tracker back on my throat. Doing gravely voices and shit, just... Ugh. Come on, tracker. Go back on. Oh, there we are. I'm alive again. So, yeah! Yeah, we're wrapping it up here. Nice chapter, nice chapter. A lot of stuff happened. That battle was unexpected. But I guess we don't have to meet up with Etiquette anymore. We'll have to see what happens next. So, yeah. Thank you all for coming. Hope you all had a wonderful time. If it is night time for you, have a wonderful night. If it is morning for you, have a brilliant morning. I've been your host, Julius, I'm overheated, and we've been continuing Tsukihime. We'll get back to it soon. Not sure when. I'm regards next stream. I'll post details on Twitter whenever that's worked out. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye! Whoa. Baba Booey. Roa Chungus.